Hogwarts battle for Hogwarts, whatever, that deck builder, that had dice in it. That was pretty good.
All right, you might not be able to flip the table, but I can flip my table.
That's fine.
Okay, we are here. Steve and Peter and Bairnt together again.
Hey, yes, the three amigos. Huh, 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 huh.
I forgot about that. Oh, that's one of my favorite movies. Look up here! Look up here! Look up here!
It's a mail plane. How can you tell? You see the little balls?
Oh my gosh, that's a classic. Good work, Peter. Way to start us off strong.
That's right.
Nice. And hello and welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop Streamed, your one stop for co-op news playthroughs. And today we're doing lists.
It's the end of the year. We gotta do lists.
Doesn't rhyme,
right?
It doesn't rhyme.
It's like the requirement. End of the year, you gotta start doing lists, and so that's what we're starting with.
It is the year. It is the season.
Yes, absolutely. So welcome, join us. We are hoping that this is going to be a super interactive stream today. So we'd love lots of feedback, what your top games of the year are, what your top games of ever are, what your predictions for 2021 are. So please feel free to chat in. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's pretty free form. And since we're talking about like the top games of this year and other mediums, we thought that we'd do on Twitch, since we haven't talked about much at all for some of us, is like the top co-ops of all time for us. So this should be particularly fun for some of you guys.
Yeah, we won't want to like duplicate every other list we have, right? Because I mean, if you want to hear about our top games, go to the podcast. I think that's probably the best place to hear them. If you want to hear Mike's games or Colin's games, I think, well, is Colin going to be on your episode of the podcast?
Yeah, we're going to do a podcast on this year's games with Bairnt and Colin and I on the podcast. Yep. That'd be...
Yeah, and Mike's going to be with me on the Top Games podcast. It probably won't come out till January for those podcasts, just because of the way the schedule's working. We're trying to sneak in a couple more games before the end of the year.
Yep.
But I think it's better that way anyway. We get a more comprehensive view of the year if we get more games in.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're doing it.
Cool.
Ready to get this party started?
Let's do it. Now,
yes.
A caveat to this one is we each put together a big list of our favorite cooperative games in different categories, but the caveat is we couldn't have the same game fill more than one category.
Right. So that's going to come in probably specifically mostly for the top game of the year. So if you see us skip a incredibly notable game, then you will probably know that that will be our top games. So actually what I'd love to do is by the end of this, have people predict or guess what they think our top game of the year is going to be for each of us individually.
That'd be good.
Oh, that'd be pretty good.
And actually, while we go through each category, I would love to see in the chat what your guys' favorite games are too, what you're watching.
Absolutely. And in each of these categories. So, all right, ready to go?
Yeah.
I'm born ready, man.
We are born ready. So,
all right.
First category, talk about top cooperative solo games, I guess.
Well, top solo
games. We're
just going to say solo game, because mine is actually not cooperative. Spoiler alert.
Mine is, but it's not. No, don't play it cooperatively. So...
All right, so I am the least co-op-y of all of us, so I'll go last. But Bairnt, we haven't heard much from you. What's your top solo game?
Top solo game. Okay, this one was a little tough because you'll never guess. I'm kind of into dungeon crawlers, and they can be played solo. They can be played co-op. So I kind of thought, as a solo, there's always dungeon crawlers out there that are a lot of fun to play, but ones that aren't good to play co-op are the ones I decided to play solo. So there were two on this list, and one I took away because I actually can play co-op pretty well. So the one that was left was actually Dungeon Alliance. I had an absolute blast playing this game. I know it's an older game, and it actually, I got the second printing of it, which added all these different campaign type scenarios into the actual game, and that really, really made the game shine a lot more than just the base game. And for me, if you try to play as co-op or even with other people, it can be played competitively too. It just starts bogging down and it's harder to get the game played and get through. So Dungeon Alliance to me is a fantastic solo game and it's a fantastic dungeon crawler. So my goal on this list is to see how many dungeon crawlers I can put onto it that actually fit the categories.
Is your top card game a dungeon crawl? Come on, tell me now.
So that was my Dungeon Alliance. Big, huge fan of it. I actually got it because of watching the One Stop Co-op Shop playthrough when they actually had their Kickstarter. With all the way that was presented by Colin, it was fantastic, and I backed the whole thing and haven't looked back. I've actually done a couple I did one on my channel with William from Hungry Gamer. We actually did a back and forth. So I did up the first, because it was a 4-part campaign. So I did the first one, he did the second, I did the third, and he actually wrapped it up on his channel on the fourth one. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And I'm actually planning to do something like that with Colin coming up soon with Machina Arcana, where we're going to try to go through all the scenarios of Machina Arcana and go back and forth, where he'll do like the second scenario, I'll do the third one, fourth one, because I've already done the first one. So we're hoping to have that sometime, hopefully next year. That's one of our plans, to do it next year. So again, that one almost made my solo list, but having played it cooperatively a couple times now, I actually do enjoy that one pretty cooperatively as well as solo. So that's it. Dungeon Alliance, man. That whole big...
Yes. Terrence was asking, are these games that just came out this year or played? No, these are just our top cooperative or solo, right? For all time, basically.
It's not this year. If you want to see our all-time list, now I would assume for most of us that these are games we've gotten to the table this year. If they're making the top of our list, it's probably something we played recently. Here's a little trick for those of you who haven't done content creation before. What you've played most recently tends to stick in your mind more, I would guess. Now, there's certainly some longer ones you might have some nostalgia for, but certainly these are all games. I'm guessing we've played all of these this year. But at the same time, this is supposed to be an all-time list because we're doing our top games of the year list in the podcast.
Correct.
So that's a better place to hear that.
Very true. Very true. So yes, I did actually get Dungeon Alliance table this year. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time playing it. Sadly, I could have put Aliens Leading Edge game in here. That's a great solo game, but I did play it solo this year. I played it co-op with Steve and Colin, so couldn't make my solo list this year.
So much fun.
Yeah. Now, Bairnt, let me ask you
to play that soon.
I know. I want to play it. We'll do it on the stream channel. I promise, because we lost the original feed for that. That was totally my fault. Newbie mistake, but we'll make it up and get a new game up of it soon. I promise.
That's right. Bairnt, all right, so I got my first one done. Who's going to go next?
Well,
Steve
first, you got a
Peter?
question for you, Bairnt.
Oh, yeah? Bring it on.
Terrence is asking, how do you feel about the win condition for Dungeon Alliance?
Win condition?
Win conditions, yep.
Like, how do you play? How do you do victory? Because that, for me, was the hardest thing I had a problem with the game, is I never knew if I won or not. I never knew if the game was over or not, right? Because, like, at one point, it's like, play to this many points or whatever, but then you can do missions, and then, like, if you complete the mission, it's over, but do I still need the same number of points? And, like, the victory conditions, I loved what I was doing when I played that game, but the victory conditions, like, frustrated me that I didn't know how I was supposed to end the game.
Totally understand where you're coming from. The way I played it and the way we did it with Will is, when it comes to victory conditions, there's not really a, hey, you get this like item and get out of the dungeon, you're good, boom, done, you've won the game, which is I kind of enjoy. It's almost like you could almost keep on going with this. Like I played one, and it was the Lost Alliance. So the goal was kind of to go into the dungeon and deal with the Lost Alliance, try to either find them or deal with them or help them or something. And it actually created, just playing it 4 times, created a really cool narrative, because we actually did find all 4 of those Lost Alliance, which sometimes doesn't happen because it does randomly come out of a deck. And so I came out with 1, Will came out with 2, then I came out with the 4th one. And so then when Will went in for the 4th time, he actually not only went in with the idea of hopefully taking on one of the bigger bosses, which could kind of symbolize the end of a 4-point campaign, but in the actual deck, you're going to find level 3 encounters, which are kind of the bosses that these Lost Alliance characters fought. So if you could take one of them out, that could also be considered a victory condition. Of course, a lot of this comes around points, and if you had a certain amount of points based on what you did is more your victory condition. I don't do that. I just go with like, hey, did I have a great time playing a cool narrative that ended with me kind of doing a boss fight that was hopefully satisfying enough to kind of experience Dungeon Alliance. And that's really what happened, and it always seems to be the way it happens for me. So I guess victory condition to me is just a good time.
Okay. I know if I've won, if there's a smile on my face.
That's right.
That's a good metric.
And you know what? That's the best victory condition of all. I agree.
Definitely.
All right, Steve, how about you? What's your top solo game?
Thank you,
top solo game. So, yeah, for me, I went with a game that, in my opinion, is exclusively solo. Now, there's a way you can play cooperatively. Don't recommend it at all. And there is additional content coming for it where you can play it competitively, I guess. I don't know how that's going to work, but I have zero interest in that.
Oh, I know this game.
You know it?
I know it.
You know it?
I think I do.
Yeah, you might know
I
what
think
it
I do.
is. So mine is definitely Nemo's War. Love
I
Nemo's
would have
War.
guessed right.
So much fun. It's like this big adventure game, and I like games where I could sit down and explore different avenues, different ways of approaching things, and for me, like, this game does that for it. If you're not familiar with the game, you are playing as Captain Nemo, basically, on the Nautilus. This is based on the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, famous novel, and you're trying to gain the most points. So normally I don't like victory points in the game. Actually, speaking of which, Terrence just mentioned that in our chat too. How they wish there was a narrative tied into winning versus just your victory point win condition, which coincidentally Nemo's War does that actually. So you're trying to get the most points, but at the end you look at where you fall within different point ranges, and it gives you a narration on, like, okay, if you're trying to do a total war, this is the narration of your success or failure. But yeah, I just love, you can upgrade a Nautilus, go on these adventures. It's just a great time.
Yeah, no, I find it funny that you listed this as your top solo game and you just played it with your wife and with the stream very recently as a you're like, this is a terrible co-op game, but we just played a co-op on the stream. Enjoy.
Oh, I didn't even play co-op in the stream. That was a solo on the stream for me, but yes.
Oh, I thought you played that with Kim.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
Solo. But no, yeah, this is don't play as cooperative. It's bad because you're basically like doing the exact same thing, but like, or somewhat similar thing, but like splitting up the roles, and it's just it's a worse experience. Don't do it. So.
And coming back to this points concept, when it comes to solo games, I really think that I know there's got to be a way to kind of get around it, like me just having fun in Dungeons & Alliance, but I think people need to know how they win, what they win, having that score means it gives the game replay value, where sometimes even in dungeon crawlers, you play like Gloomhaven, for example, solo. Once you kind of get through it, if you kind of know if you win or lost, just kind of getting through the game. I would guess Gloomhaven is kind of a pretty bad idea because you can have multiple ways of getting different characters and stuff like this, multiple ways of playing it. But having that replay value of points in games like Nemo's War or Dungeon Alliance, I think is a almost necessary evil to a game like that, because you kind of need to be able to find that people like that number. It's almost like gamer score on Xbox and PlayStation. You're like, oh, I got to get that gamer score. I got to go find 2 more barrels or something to get 10 points. Everybody kind of likes to get those numbers.
Yeah, I guess for Dungeon Alliance, the thing is, it feels like you're doing something epic. It feels like there's a story, and I just hate that it ends with, oh, I got 16 points. All right, I guess I won. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's where I see a difference. For that game, I wish there was and there are boss battles at the end. You can fight a boss, you can do whatever, but you kind of like get to a certain point threshold, and it's like, okay, well, I beat this mission. Let's go on to the next mission, and you go from there. And so, yeah, I mean, I see what you're coming from. And the funny part is, mine's a point game too. So guess what? If you don't like point scoring solos, you're not going to like this list, because I got a point scoring solo too, which is not at all a cooperative game. It is one of my favorite competitive games of all time. It's funny, I don't play it that much. I haven't played it that much, but I love it every time. And it falls into my favorite genre. And I don't think everybody will think it's in this genre. So the game is Gaia Project. And I think it's a 4X game. And not a lot of people do. A lot of people view it as just a straight Euro game, but there's a lot of things in there. I mean, I guess the extermination's the one thing you don't have in there, but certainly you're racing to explore the galaxy. You have the tech tree, which is where I typically view the strength of 4X games, is that tech tree. You have those different tech tracks you're moving up. The solo bot in this is really, really good. I was not a solo player until I played this game, and this is the one that kind of converted me, because it was super easy to do, super streamlined, and really, I don't know, I just had a blast, and I don't get this game to the table as much as I want, because Mike hates Euro games, and he hates fun. So because of that, I don't get it to the table as much as I want, but this is a game I love, and I have fun with every time I play it, and the AI bot does such a good job. A similar game, see, Jerry agrees with me, he does indeed. So that is not just for me, it's from the other person in our group as well. I don't know. I just view this as a game that kind of puts it all together. A game that is very similar, that doesn't have quite the sophistication of AI, but I just played it on the stream. It's another one of my favorite games is Clans of Caledonia. So you can go watch that streamed video that I did. I find that one lots of fun as well. It's super straightforward, though, because the AI doesn't do anything. They basically set up at the beginning of the game, and you're trying to beat a score. There is variability from game to game with the clan you choose, stuff like that. But this isn't about Clans of Caledonia. It's about Gaia Project. But I love them both for very similar reasons. Lots of different races you can use. I love the board play. People that know me know I love tactical board play. It's super important to me. I also love economic games, and they're both economic games as well. Clans of Caledonia, more straightforward. You need money for this and that. Whereas the economy in Gaia Project is different types of resources, and the way you manage those and just, those kind of things really do it for me. And if they do it for you as well, then I highly recommend trying Clans of Caledonia first and then Gaia Project. I think they're both great, but Gaia Project nudges it for me because I do think the AI adds some variability in the middle of gameplay. It's almost like at Clans. Yes, there's some variability in the middle, but you don't get that, oh no, I was going to go for that planet and they just grabbed it from me. Whereas in Gaia Project, you definitely have a little bit more in-game tension. Of course, because of that, it makes the game longer too. So it really depends on the time frame I have. Clans is a nice, quicker game, where Gaia Project is going to be more meaty. I'm going to sit down for a little bit.
Sounds like a game I need to try now, Peter.
I played Terra Mystica quite a bit. The previous iteration of this, basically. But this one, I played... I play tested the solo mode of this a little bit, and I really enjoyed it. Plus, we have so much fantasy. This is nice to have a space version of this game. It's really fun. Really good choice.
By the way, we got some more people in the chat. Thanks for joining, Jerry. Thanks for joining Snow Dracona. Love having you guys there. So we're doing a little fun thing where we are not... So this is our top games of all time. We are not going to repeat anything in our top game. So our top game will be different from all the different categories, but go ahead and guess, you go ahead and guess at any point throughout this video what you think our top game of the year is going to be. Or if you have a top game for a category like solo games or our next one, which is going to be obscure games, go ahead and fill in your pick for that as well. So we'd love for this to be very interactive.
Yeah. So speaking of which, I think, should we move on to the next category, obscure games?
Sure.
Sure, but before we do, Snow Dracona said, Gaia Project, I thought long and hard, but I'm thinking about Stellaris next year. All right. I don't know much about Stellaris, so I will certainly check it out if it has anything to do with it. But Gaia Project's a little harder to get into. That's why I said maybe Clans of Caledonia first as a kind of first step. Yeah,
it's based on a video game, says.
Oh, very cool.
It's a great 4X computer game.
Huh.
All right.
I haven't played that video game.
Sweet.
Have you guys?
Nope.
Not me either.
I've been working on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's the game I'm working on.
Nice.
You see me on here all the time, so I'm not playing any video
games. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't get much time, that's for sure.
Cool.
Obscure games. Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Bairnt. Man, why don't you lead us off?
Obscure games. Well, since we're talking about all the fun games we played this year, something that was pretty obscure to me when I got it and started playing it is, surprise, surprise, one of my favorite publishers that I've not dealt with, but have been able to play games from recently, and that's Awakened Realms. Aetherfield is really weird. I really like the idea of it, and it's something I haven't played. Like Tainted Grail, when it came out, had kind of set quest ideas of what you're supposed to do. Aetherfield is almost a full-on open, whatever you want to do what you want to do. Kind of, you want to get into these dreams to kind of make things happen. And I'm actually really enjoying just the free flow of this game. And it's really obscure how it works. They've got so many different moving mechanics that are moving back and forth on two different boards and going. So it's just something I haven't really dealt with before. So when you talk about obscure, that's really the top of my list. Not to mention it's kind of newer. So like you said, I've been playing it a little bit more. So it's kind of cool to see. I'm actually planning to put a couple of those dreams up on my channel pretty soon. So that's going to be something coming up probably after my Aliens extravaganza that I've been doing, which I've been loving so far. And so that's my obscure one. Aetherfields, Awakened Realms, another good game by them.
Yeah, Terrence is asking.
Hone's making fun of you a little bit.
Of course, I'm sure.
This is an obscure game? Everybody knows about Aetherfields. What are you talking about? So
maybe I misunderstood the category. I was thinking of obscure as in how the game is played and what you're doing in the game. I think that's more what I was thinking when I thought of obscure game. I didn't think of obscure game being something that nobody knows about. I didn't think of it that way. So now that I think about it that way, I don't really know.
That's all right. No,
so I guess the mechanics of the game and the feel for the game. Yeah. So I guess that's really more what it was. It was more like the mechanics and kind of how it plays and what you're doing in the game and how it plays is a little bit more obscure than some of the stuff I normally do.
Yep. So that's all right. No worries.
Let's hear about Peter. I bet he's going to tell you about this obscure game I've never heard of before.
Favorite obscure crawler go. Yeah, that's totally Terrence. He's calling you out.
Oh, of course he is.
Favorite obscure crawler go, says Terrence.
Yes.
Well, we're not going to put you on the spot like that. Steve, go ahead. What's your top obscure game?
Top obscure game. Yeah, so I love finding these hidden gems, and it's really fun for me. And this one, it's one that I don't know if it's that obscure. I mean, you've probably heard of it, but the thing is, it doesn't hit the mass market a lot because it's not easily found, and so that's why I chose that. But it's easily one of my favorite games to play, and that is V Commandos. I love V Commandos. It's such a clean design. It's so well done. You're playing as commandos in World War II setting, and you're trying to do stealth missions. It's a major stealth game, and I just love it. It's simple. The line of sight rules are basically non-existent, and I always want it being a cinematic experience because it's like, oh yeah, set these traps down, wait for the guys to move in, and click the button and watch things explode or sneak by some guards, and it's a great time every time.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I know you love stealth games, and V Commandos is a good one. I haven't played it as much as I probably should, and I traded it away at this point. And we know Mike, he doesn't hold on to anything, so there's no way he has it. So yeah, that's one I played a couple times and I enjoyed it, but it just didn't stick for whatever reason. But I do think that's a good one, and certainly very in theme with the kind of stuff that you like to do, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And there's
Yep, I enjoyed it. I think I played it with you once, Steve, we had a really good experience. You taught me it and played at the same time. It was pretty cool. Yeah. There was a nice little thing. Like we had a lot of interesting moments where we weren't sure if we're going to make it. So I like how that tension's there. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a Kickstarter coming out early next year, actually, for this game. So I'll be excited to see what comes out. And they were going to have a leveling system in there, so I'm curious how that works. But at this point, I'm pretty sure it's instant back for me. So.
All right, so Terrence says, Bairnt, have you played Hellboy? And Bairnt says, not yet.
Nope, not yet. Not yet. I think Colin's got it. If he doesn't have it, then I'm probably never going to play it. We'll see. I kind of saw his playthrough. It had some cool things going on. Part of my problem is I have so many dungeon crawlers that something I'm looking for in a dungeon crawler is something that isn't done by any other dungeon crawler. So it's sometimes when I see a dungeon crawler, it's really cool, but it has a lot of mechanics I've already seen before. I'm kind of like, I could probably get that out of something else. Sometimes, of course, the theme does suck me in, and I'm like, okay, I know it does a lot of what everything else does, but I'm going to grab it because I like that theme. And I don't know a lot about Hellboy compared to some of the other like comic and superhero and other things in that realm. So maybe I need to look into it a little
Colin
more.
does, so Snow Dracona mentioned it, and Colin did have it at one point. I think he still does, because he enjoyed the game. I don't think he got rid of it yet. So you could probably borrow it from him or whatever.
I'll have to pick it up from tomorrow if I go there.
Nice. And your jersey, so you could match the
rest.
That's right.
Yeah, I totally forgot to pick that up on Sunday when I went over there last week. We were going to record some Altar Quest, but instead we sat and chit-chatted for a while. I totally left and forgot to grab my jersey.
No worries. Hey, do you have the flip the table emoji available for this, or is that only for your tabletop views?
The animated?
Steve? Yeah, the animated.
No, I don't have this one animated.
Can you do that?
No, sorry. I probably should.
Okay, because I'm about to flip the table. Jerry knows how to trigger
there
me.
It is.
He says, my game of the year is Gandhi. No. Steve keeps trying to.
That's pretty funny.
Steve, I'm sorry. I got so furious that I called him Steve. I don't know why I got mad at you, Steve. It was Mike who keeps bringing these like coin games up and has us trying them. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna like this one. You're gonna like this one. This one's better." No, not a wargamer. Sorry, don't like it. Don't like it. Never gonna like it. Hate it. It's a lot of fun. Let me tell you. But anyway, let's go to my top obscure game, which I will say this right here and now. It is not obscure for people who watch the stream. We played it a lot. It's not obscure for people who follow the podcast. We do it a lot. It's not obscure for people in our Discord. We talk about it a lot. It even has its own channel in our Discord. But I think for the game audience at large, it is obscure, and this is Battle for Greyport. It is probably my favorite co-op deck builder. There's so much cooperation in it. So you you play one card on your turn, and then you can play a weapon with it as well. And, everybody can do that around the table, and you're always involved in other players' turns. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think the only reason this game doesn't get more love is because it has that Red Dragon Inn title before Battle for Greyport. Yeah. If you took that out of there, I think... Because the problem is, people who like Red Dragon Inn, that is a very competitive, brutal, head-to-head, smash people in the face game. So that would turn off co-op gamers right away, right from the beginning. It turned me off when I saw that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this game. And then if you got people who would like this game and they try Red Dragon Inn, they're not going to like that game. I just think there's no synergy there. This is like one of the most cooperative games there is out there because you can only play limited stuff on your turn, so you have to help each other. And then other people have to help you in return. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of interaction. There's not a lot of downtime. There are some weaknesses to the game. I don't think it's perfect. I think you do need the expansion. I think that increases the amount of content you get a lot. Not only the heroes you get, but the market itself increases and the number of villains, and they just add new mechanics. And I think that is my second weakness to the game is I wish it was more popular because then it would have gotten a lot more expansions. And I think the more this game gets, the better it would be. Because I do think the market gets repetitive after a while, after you play the game bunches and bunches of times. But I don't know. I enjoy it every time. And it, like I said, it's one of the most cooperative puzzle-solving experiences I think that's out there. And so I love it for that.
It's also interesting that this deck builder has dice in it, too. You don't really find that very often with deck builders.
Yeah, and they're not frustrating in the game. Although, we had to re-roll them 50 times the other day when we were playing in our thing to try to pull it out the victory. It's a very difficult game. They certainly have variants now that decrease difficulty, but basically means you just heal between rounds. So it's not that big a deal. But no, I find it very enjoyable every time I play it. And like I said, probably my top co-op deck builder. So that gives you a little hint for what's coming up on my list. I know more deck builders. Sorry,
Hogwarts battle for Hogwarts, whatever, that deck builder that had dice in it. That was pretty good.
All right, you might not be able to flip the table, but I can flip my table.
That's fine. The interesting thing about that is the new expansion just came out, and actually I'm getting it for my wife for Christmas because she was a big fan of the game. So. Which is funny because there's so many other better deck builders out there. But we enjoy it. Everybody likes their own thing.
Yeah, there's
Peter does not.
Yeah, no. Apparently I'm triggering Jerry as well. So he's triggering me, I'm triggering him. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be a whole thing. You guys can sit here and watch the death of a friendship right here on One Stop Co-op Shop year-end episode.
We that's pretty good comments about the market though, talking about like the problem of a stale market in deck builder games, and like this one, I would say suffers from that too, right? That's one of the few cons. It's a good game, I enjoy it, but yeah, it's a tough problem to solve when you don't have a fresh market and interesting cards that you want to draft from.
Yeah, well, and this one you have to draft every round, and they have a way that you can do it. So the way it works is very different than other games. Watch the playthrough to get the full details. But basically, you have coins, gold, silver, and bronze. And if you can't afford something, then you're allowed to buy up in this game. Now, more likely what's going to happen is the opposite, right? You're going to have a bunch of cheap stuff that you don't want anymore because you've kind of out-leveled that stuff. I do wish they had a way to clear that, but I mean, I think that's an easy enough thing to do. Like if the market is getting stale, maybe just always remove the right cards or something after each player's turn and cycle the market that way after they're purchasing. That would be an easy way to cycle the market a little bit more.
Definitely.
No, so Steve, did Steve? Oh yeah, he did his obscure. Totally.
I mean, it was so obscure you forgot it already.
It was so obscure, I totally passed it right by.
Commandos, yes. We'll put a list up in the. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on the YouTube stream channel, we'll put a list up at the bottom of what all our top games for each category were.
And we got quite a bit, so we should probably keep on moving down. Want to go for light games next?
Yep, go for it. What's your top light game?
Here's one that I should almost put this as obscure now that I realized what the category was. The light game I have actually isn't out yet, and so I'm kind of cheating a little bit here. But when I was sent Eileen Something Special from Ice Makes Games, I really thought, oh, this is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to like this. I had a blast. Absolutely loved it. It's this like card pulling and kind of story building game around this like rabbit creature and a tree. And you're thinking, this is a game? Yes, you're getting like resources. You got to complete missions and quests. And actually, as it goes on, he leaves this tree and goes out into the world and has to keep on going through all these different stories. And I was really surprised at how well this was. Now, of course, it came from, I forgot what country Ice Makes this from, but there was a lot of like English issues, which I'm hoping they're sorting out. But it's not out yet. I know I'm kind of cheating, but really enjoyed this game. Thought it was awesome. Not only that, I played with my 10-year-old after I did the recording of it. He had a blast with it. So again, here I'm looking at family participation in this game. So I'm really excited for this one. It's a nice light, like you just kind of read the card, you choose something on the card, and then you put it in a certain pile based on your choice. You draw the next card, you decide what you're going to do with that card, and you move to one of the sides or maybe gain a couple of resources from it. So it's really light, really fast, really entertaining. I was impressed. So I leave something special. Boom.
All right. So this certainly would be obscure for me because I've never heard anything about it. But Jerry apparently has. He likes how you add cards to your draw pile based on decisions. And Draconis says it's such a cute game.
I like this one too.
And
it was weird because like it's really simple. You just draw a card and it gives you some choices, and you either put it to the left or the right. You know, the left side means you'll see it again later. The right side means it's gone forever, or maybe I went backwards. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But you're just going through the story together, and you're trying to gather resources and make sure you have enough resources to complete the goals. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a really light, it's very light for sure. Like, it's definitely a family weight game. I don't know if I would play with adults, honestly. But,
apparently I have played this, though. So I don't know anything about it, but apparently I've played it, says Jerry. So I don't know. This is, well, there you go. Obscure game. Definitely not in my memory. I might have either been really drunk that night or, no, it just didn't stick in my brain.
Apparently it was on Tabletop Sim?
Looking at this art.
Was this on Tabletop Sim?
No.
Oh, no.
On Tabletop Sim with Mike. Okay, apparently we played it. I don't know. I was apparently not present that night, even though I was there.
I did send the prototype copy to Mike, so you might have played it from him at some point.
Okay. Yeah, no. This doesn't ring any bells anywhere in my brain. But I'm glad you like it. Like, I'd love to try it again.
It was good.
Apparently again. All right. So, Steve, how about you? What's your top light game?
Yeah, this is where I'm going to make a lot of people upset, probably. Like, wait, what? Just get off the channel, get off the podcast, right?
Etherfield.
No, exactly. Gloomhaven. Wait, what? No, like game.
Yeah.
No, this was one I got recently. And I wasn't sure what to think about. It was kind of a risk, but it was something I knew my son would play with me. And as I played it more and more,
I know what this is.
I wound up just really loving this game. I wound up really enjoying it. And this one has to be Marvel United, actually. Yep.
Oh, Snow Dracona called it.
Snow Dracona.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This one,
I knew that was coming.
It is super light, so that's gonna be the hard part to get a way around it, because you're literally just playing cards and you got just 3 icons on it: move, attack something, or it's a heroic action. But what I found that really like made this so fun for me is I've played a ton of games, a high percentage of games that are come down to the wire, where it's like, this is the last turn we have to win, or the next card we flip over and we lose the game. So it's like, it's really, really close in a lot of cases. And I will say that I think they missed the boat a bit on how they presented this game, and I think that might be part of the problem, or maybe why I have a different experience than others. Because the 2-player, I notice, has a problem that the villain's health value that you need to kill them in, or beat them up, that's how you win the game, you can kind of destroy them in one round. So it's like, you do the goals, you mess guy, you one-shot him, and that's it, game end. And it's so anticlimactic and so blah. And so I always play at the three-player health levels are up from there. And so like the solo version.
So even when playing with 2 players, you increase their health to a 3-player health.
Because that way you have to chase them around, and it makes it a lot more exciting and fun. Just that simple change, for example. And solo,
I'll have to play
has that in there.
Again doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's been my experience. I just beat it in 2 seconds. I'm like, all right.
Exactly.
Well, that was something.
Exactly.
That happened.
Oh, and pulling out the wild cards. I always pull the wild cards out. I'm like, no. Because otherwise, like, the wild cards is always a good play because it's exactly what you need at whatever time, right? That's the definition of wild. And it also removes some of the uniqueness from the characters, the heroes, and so I rather have play with unique heroes and have to like actually work together and try to plan things out rather than, oh yeah, I'll just play this wild card and get what I need. It's just like, it just sucks it out. So those two things, once I remove those out, I had a lot of fun with this one.
So you take out the single and the double wild card? Okay.
Now, is there enough content in the base box to enjoy this game, or is this something you should have done through Kickstarter? And if you didn't, you probably should try to find that type of content.
I think you can get a decent number of plays out of it with the base box, probably like around 10 plays. After that, you'd probably be wanting more content, honestly.
Well, but it's $30. Right. I mean, that's the big thing. Like, if you were in on the Kickstarter, you're spending like $200+ for this game.
Right. Yes.
I mean, for $30, I feel like I got my money worth out of it just for the miniatures. Somebody like you, Bairnt, who likes to paint. I don't know if you like the chibi stuff, but they're pretty cool miniatures. I'd love to get them painted at some point.
We should be on track. Hopefully we're back online, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened with that stream.
All right, cool. Well, all right. So let's guess in the chat what my favorite light game is going to be. Bairnt did it while you guys were gone. And... oh, never mind. All right. Never mind.
Don't look. Close your eyes.
Mindful. Close your eyes and guess. Well, see, this is how I like to play the mind. I just put my cards face up so people can see them, and then it's not as hard of a game anymore.
Yeah. I've never had a problem when I do it like that.
Right. Yeah, we always get it right every time. First time, every time. Yes. So the mind, I love this game. There's not much more to it. I think I introduced it to you, Steve, at PAX U last year. It's just, Gen Con last year. Just such a fun game.
Yeah, it was the first time I played it, and it was a blast playing with you, Peter. It was so much fun. Like, I remember distinctly playing the game, and you just like put down your cards to get up and walk away. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Is he playing the game? Oh, I see what he's doing. So
it's always right in reach.
Yeah, for $10 or $15, whatever it is. And the interesting thing is, you see people play in different ways, right? Some people like to do that timer metronome thing in their mind where they're counting. I don't like that. I like reading body language. I think it's more fun. But you could play it however you want to play it. So I don't know. For me, I don't know. There's no better light game that I'm going to show to somebody than the Mind.
And how can you not get over the thrill of one person going over there, not exactly sure if they're going to do it, and all of a sudden they play a 68, and then all of a sudden somebody slaps down 69, and somebody's trying to get their 70 out, like, oh, wow, we did all three right in a row, we didn't even, that was so good.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Jerry is trying to trigger me. Is it even a game? Yeah, that's how I feel about it, says Terrence. All right, I have two less friends in this world.
Yep.
Just so you know.
That's how it works sometimes.
Just so you know. All right, small games. Let's keep going. Bairnt, where are you at?
I'm actually going to turn this one over to Steve first because I want to know which one of his Tiny Epic games is going to hit this one.
I'm going to say Galaxies.
You're going to go with Galaxies? I'm going to go with Tactics or whatever. What was the one that had like the 3D terrain stuff that kind of came out?
And actually, because it's a co-op list, maybe it's Defenders.
Oh, could be that one. Steve, what do you got?
Good guesses, but no.
What?
Nope. None of those. Actually, you guys can be pretty surprised by this.
Gloomhaven.
No. Samurai Spirit.
Totally small game.
Have you guys even heard of this one? Probably. I've talked about it a lot on Discord, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Oh, yes. Snow Dracona got it. So.
Which one?
Samurai Spirit.
Oh, yes. I'm supposed to play this with you, Steve. We haven't had a chance to do that yet.
I love the artwork in this. Holy cow.
Yeah, the artwork's cool. So, this was, I say follow-up. It was a follow-up to from Bowser of Ghost Stories. But when I say follow-up, it doesn't mean it's like Ghost Stories, but it was his game after Ghost Stories is what I mean by that. But basically, it's fully co-op. You are playing as... it's based off the Seven Samurai movie. If you're familiar with it? Yeah, she says it's the small brother of Ghost Stories, which is true. Like, but basically, you're trying to defend a village from 3 waves of enemies. And it doesn't get a lot of love because it comes off as like, well, it's just like cooperative blackjack. Which is... At the 1,000-foot level, yeah, it's kind of like that. We're just trying to hit a number. But... when you wind up sitting down playing it, there are tons of combos where it's like, oh yeah, if I can pass you my special power, you can draw this card and redraw it, pass this other person, they can save them, they can trigger their ability, trigger this other ability over there, and they just like this huge like group combo, mass combo coming off to try get through these waves. And each wave gets harder and harder as you go through it, and I just love it. And it's one of those few co-op games that plays up to 7, and it plays pretty well up to that level too. So.
And what do you think is an ideal player count for this? Though?
I would play 3 minimum. You can play less than that, but you have to do some weird plays to it. But I don't think I've had a problem playing anything up from 3. Now, the issue with it though is because the combos are all across the table. You could have a lot of alpha gamer issues coming out where like, hey, you need to do this so I can do that type of situation. But it really, if you come up to that, I'm not this character. We are all these characters working together. It's fine. But I really like it. It's a small box. It's great. I pull it all the time. And my son,
all right,
he's 5. He can play this with me. So.
All right, just subscribe to it on Tabletop Simulator. We're gonna have to play that live because I haven't played it yet, and I'd love to stream that.
Yes, Jerry. Who would play as a
join
human?
You guys because I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, Jerry's like, who would play as a human if you can be an angry raccoon with swords? Which is true. So like, if you take a wound, you're fine. But if you take a second wound, then you turn into this animal creature, your spirit animal, and you get stronger with more abilities, and it's fun. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see the raccoon there on the left. It's pretty awesome. All right, we're definitely gonna have to play this one for sure. Okay, so Bairnt, you ready for your small game, or you want me to go?
Small game. Here we go. Ready? Yep. Went between two. I couldn't figure out which one I want to do. One was co-op, one was solo. I went with the solo one because it's something that I can take everywhere and play, and I don't need another person to do it. Black Sonata by what company does this one? Black Sonata is by
Sidewind Games.
Why am I drawing a blank? Yes, thank you. Why was I drawing a blank? It's a hidden movement and a solo hidden movement, which is very unique. You're looking for basically finding clues as to who is Shakespeare's lover, which is, I really think it's cool. Even with the expansion, it adds so much more. I just enjoy being able to. You can build the movement deck different ways. You can make it harder, easier for you depending on what you do. So I think just being able to crack this thing out and play it almost anywhere you go, fantastic. Set a Watch almost made it. But I have to. I don't like playing that one solo. That one I do like to play with a couple people. So. But that's another small one that I sometimes bring with me places. So there you go.
Co-op one? Just out of curiosity.
My co-op?
Yep.
For small?
Yep.
Set a Watch.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking that's one that my wife and I took. The way I thought of small ones is what if I brought to Colorado? We go on a Colorado trip with my wife every year with the kids. And once the kids go to bed, we kind of play a game together. And obviously I'm not stuffing like Shadows of Brimstone into my backpack. That ain't going to happen. So we always bring a couple small games. We found that Set a Watch was a fun one we had. We also had a really good time playing Villagers, but that's a competitive game. But those are smaller type games. And then Black Sonata, I just like to be able to bring anywhere I go, and then I can just play it. So I kind of want that one.
All right, so apparently this is the triggering episode because we got Snow Draconia here saying, I still didn't receive this game. I'm going to crawl up to the ceiling. So the whole goal of today's episode is to see how many people we can trigger. Jerry got triggered by Harry Potter.
Yep.
We're
going to trigger people and make them cry. That's our plan.
Right. Welcome to the one-stop co-op shop where we all cry together.
I like how Jerry's like, Shadows of Brimstone in the backpack? He says, I think you have to run a U-Haul for that.
It's
true. Yeah.
Very true.
All right. So my small game is a game we just played on the stream last week with Steve, and that is The Crew. It's a game that just came out this year. Great small game. My kids love it. My family loves it. It's something we can all play. If you like trick-taking games, I love trick-taking games. There's a lot of content in there. Yes, it's a little swingy. It's a little random. But I'll be honest. When you play with new players, even the intro levels are fun. Yeah, when I play with Mike and Jerry at this point, we're playing like the highest levels, 40 through 50. But I had fun playing with Steve the other day. Not because Steve's new to trick-taking games, but because he's new to our group, right? It's kind of like the mind. The more you play with one group, I think you kind of learn each other's tendencies, things like that. And certainly the later in the evening it gets, you'll see in that video, the dumber and dumber you get. Because we were playing fine early, but by the end of that thing, I was like, I talk about being triggered. I was done that night. I was like, what are you guys doing? You're killing me over here.
I still remember that time when I had the card that I had to play to win the game. But because I gave it as a clue, it wasn't in my row of cards for my hand. It was just off to the side. And so I totally forgot it was part of my hand. And so I played a different card, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, oh.
Well, if you even click on that on the YouTube channel, so One Stop Co-op Shop streamed, if you watch the crew playthrough, literally we started putting like funny stuff at the beginning. That is right at the beginning. Like that 10 seconds of me going, "What are you doing, Steve?" And then I lost it. I just cracked at that point. I just like, I can't believe you're not playing this card. It's the last card we need to win, and we're running out of time. What are you doing? Yes. Jerry says it's embarrassing. Stop promoting it. Jerry was part of that. Yeah, and again, later in the night, it was like 2 a.m. by the time we're done, by the way. So that'll kind of let you guys know where our frame of mind was. We were definitely like, we were loopy and out of it. So it wasn't embarrassing. It was super fun. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed this. And that's what I love about this game. Not many games have you remembering moments like that. That's why I love the mind. That's why I love the crew. I think these games bring those moments to reality, and I often remember them. No, it's not that epic dungeon crawl like, oh, I did this and this and this in the fight, but I remember the people at the table. I remember our interactions with each other. And so it's that social experience that really gets me jazzed about these games. And I love trick-taking games too. So that's mine, the crew for small games.
Sweet.
Cool, moving on.
All right, Steve, you want to go first for card game?
Card games, yes. Yeah, so this was...
I got a guess on this one.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you guys won't be surprised by some of these card game choices. Mine and everyone else's.
Have an LCG behind it?
I think if anybody like follows us to any extent really at this point, knows how much us as a whole love living card games. And Terrence is calling it out already. So if it's not Lord of the Rings, I'll be disappointed. So,
but that might be your top game, and that would totally invalidate.
True. It could be my top game. Now the question is it? And no, it's
no.
Not. It's not. No. So it is Lord of the Rings living card game. I absolutely love this game. This game is fantastic. This game used to be my game of the year for a number of years. And I still love it to this day. And now it's like it's basically done with its life. It's not getting much new content for it at all. But I could pull this out and play it and still enjoy everything. There's just so many quests and things going on, and I've been playing it for years now, quite literally years. With I think it's like 3 or 4 years now with a guy on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, and we play almost weekly. We go on streaks when we can't meet for whatever reasons. But we've been playing each quest until we win it, and I still have unplayed content. There's just so much out that. But really, really love this game. Can't recommend it enough.
So Jerry asks, if he buys a reroll, can you pick something else?
Exactly.
I think this is the trigger episode.
Awesome. Triggering people.
I think we're trying to trigger people here.
The newest pack is one of the best scenarios. The scenarios are so good, and it's so crazy. Like they started off with like the core game was, they're trying to figure out how this whole system worked. But at some point in the game, my mind was blown when they added sailing in this game. Like, wow, we're actually manning ships and having these naval battles, and it's so strange to be able to, and cool, honestly, to be able to figure out how to put that theme together in this card game. And honestly, the living card games do such an excellent job of taking a core concept and just like pushing it to its limits, which is really fun.
Cool. All right. So, Bairnt, where are you at with card games?
Where am I with card games? Let's go to the other side.
Are we going
a good game to a bad game?
Break on through to the other side. No, my card game is Arkham Horror. The living card game.
Arkham Horror LCG.
I am a huge fan of this one. I think it's because they have, I don't, of course, made by the same company, but I really like Arkham Horror. I have a really good time with it. I think what real investigators and being able to teach that to a couple people just with those decks really helped out. And I actually have, I think, 2 different campaigns going now with that, because I have one person I play with, and then I started playing with my wife and a couple other people and it was really cool to be able to introduce them to that game because they'd never played an LCG before. And I think it is sometimes can be overwhelming when they get, you get 5 experience points. Okay, here's your like stack of cards you can pick from. Where instead, now this thing kind of gives you that layout of like, hey, if you're interested in doing this with your character, you might want to think about upgrading these 2 cards kind of thing. So it really helped them understand the game. And now going forward, when we start one of the bigger what do you call them, cycles. They'll be ready to go taking a character maybe from that cycle now that they kind of get the gist of the game. I think that really expanded Arkham Horror to me and gave me the ability to give it to other people, which is hard to do. And besides, you kind of move your cards around on the board, so it's kind of like a dungeon crawler.
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Yes, it is kind of like a dungeon crawl. Yes, it is the one game LCG where you do move stuff around on the board. By the way, welcome, Varega. Glad you made it before the end of the stream. I know you were trying to make it in, so glad you could. We are going through right now our top card game, and mine to
I like how Jerry.
Some people surprise.
You got to mention Jerry's comment here. He says Arkham Horror LCG where you lose your turn 2. So
nope, don't gotta talk about that one.
Well, so we played an encounter like that. It was like the most pandemic-like scenario, and we weren't playing it like pandemic, where you have an explosion at one location, then explodes to somewhere else, and literally turn 2, we had the thing cascade and explode, and we literally lost on turn 2. That was the only. And I was like, well, why don't we set it up and play again? Because I was interested in playing the scenario. And both Mike, who this is his top game of all time, I think, and Jerry were like, nope, we're done. Nope, not playing that one again. Not gonna happen. So that was an experience we had. But my favorite cycle for this is still the yellow one. Which one was that?
I don't recall the name.
Carcosa.
Yeah.
Path to Carcosa. That was still my favorite cycle in this one. How about you, Bairnt? Do you have a favorite cycle?
That's a great question. Right now, we've gone through most of Dunwich, and we started into Carcosa. We've only done the first one, so I'm excited to see kind of how that one goes. I've heard a lot of really good things, but I've heard good things about all of them, which is really the fun thing about this game. And all of them are a different type of entity, which is kind of cool. So there is a lot left for me to play. I actually, believe it or not, I got every single thing for this game by selling off all my old Warhammer guys I don't play
anymore.
Nice. That's like I sold an army and got a game.
Nice.
So that's where I am right now with that game.
Yes. All right. So my top one. So you guys are into lifestyle games here. My top card game is not a lifestyle game, not something you can buy over and over in a million things. Why? Because it's based on an IP that is basically done at this point. They did just do an expansion last year, but it is Legendary Encounters Alien. So this game for me, I'm not a huge fan of most of the Legendary Encounter stuff, but this one, and I've even played the other encounters, and I don't like them as much. For whatever reason, the horror theme just works with this one. You know, the encounter system, what that added is flipping over cards. It added cooperation cards between people. You could tell this game was designed cooperative in mind. It wasn't designed to be competitive the way normal Legendary Encounters was. They got the difficulty right. They got the scaling right. They got the fun level right. You feel like a unique character, but at the same time, you get to build the deck however you want to do it. You definitely have to use a lot of teamwork because there's just a lot of threats coming at you. It's like, okay, if I reveal this, can you deal with it? Or, what do we got to do? We got to reveal this and take care of this. You have those cooperative cards that you give to somebody else so they can use it on their turn. There's just a lot going on there that, I don't know. This game gave me a sense of dread like no other. And that's what I liked about it, right? There's nothing special about the deck building here, right? It's very simple. You have money on your cards and you have damage on your cards. That's not what makes this game good. It's the different missions, the way they really brought them together, the way they made you feel like you were in the Alien movie. All of that to me just worked in this game. And so, I love this one. This is another one we're going to have to get on the stream soon because, we'll have to do that. So I see there's a lot of comments on my choice here.
They're asking how much Legendary
have you played this year over Marvel Champions? Well, I have played less than I've played Marvel Champions, that is for sure. Art is terrible, but it was fun. I second that question. Marvel Champions can be Game of the Year. Oh, maybe. I don't know. So there's some guesses for my Game of the Year coming out already based on this pick.
That's pretty good.
I mean, spoiler alert, you might not be wrong. My card game, though, is Legendary Encounters Alien, and this is why I don't play poker, because my poker phase is not very good.
That's pretty
good.
This is my deck builder that I'd reach for more than any other deck builder. This is the game. My wife and I love it. We've played it with other people. They love it. And again, I'm showing people that have never done these type of games before, and they really enjoyed it. I played one with Mission. I'm like, so what'd you guys think? Let's do this again next week. I'm like, yes, we will. We will do this again. And of course, if anybody knows anything, huge Aliens fan. So that IP, amazing. Again, I have to go with that art style. The new Aliens game I got has the actual footage from the Fox movies and stuff like that. And it's just so much, just to see that picture on the card of like Vasquez arc welding the door shut. And it says on the top of the card, like, do it fast. I'm like, that's exactly what she says at that moment of the movie. And it's just so cool to see that. And it's just so hard to not have that in that game, but it's still fantastic. But of course, I wish they would have used the movie, but they probably didn't get the licensing for it, so it's probably a little rough.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of the expansion? Because I have not picked up the expansion for this one.
I haven't had a chance to play it. We just made it through the last one. I've looked through a lot of the expansion cards, and I think they're kind of cool. And I just haven't had a chance to try it yet. I know Colin did a playthrough of one of those on the channel. And I actually haven't watched it yet because I want to play it first before I watch his playthrough. I picked up at Gen Con when it was released at Gen Con, 2 years ago, I think. And I still haven't played it. I also have the Aliens or the Queen expansion as well, but that's really more competitive than anything else. So I haven't really had a chance to play that much either. So, but there's a lot in that game that's just it's good.
Yes, I agree totally. All right, well, let's keep going. Real-time game. This was a Steve suggestion.
Yeah.
So, Steve, what do you got for real? I was like, there aren't that many real-time games, and then he started pointing them out. I'm like, oh wow, there are a lot of real-time.
There's a few of them. Yeah. Yeah, this one, if you guys know me, you could probably guess this one. This one could also qualify underneath the obscure category.
Jerry says none.
What's that?
There are no fun real-time games, Jerry
no
says.
fun ones. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I mean, Colin loves his real-time games for sure, so he would have a ton of feedback on this one. But this one is a new one for me, and this one just has the full experience for me. It is also a different take on what's considered real-time, because normally real-time is you don't have turns, you just play super fast. This one is actual real-time, so that game is U-Boat. I love this game. It is fantastic.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me even a bit.
No, it surprises me that it hit his list right here.
Oh, not top game. Oh,
that's what like. Wait a minute, that's not supposed to be here. Now okay. I got to think about what his top game is.
Yeah, no, U-Boat is amazing.
Sorry, go ahead, Steve. You just kind of threw me off.
No problem. Oh, speaking of Snow Dracona, says she needs a pause button, and U-Boat actually has a pause button in it. In fact, you have to use it for solo, in my opinion. But this game, you have 4 different roles: engineering, first officer, navigator, and captain. And each person has their own crew to manage, so it's honestly worker placement. And what's interesting about this is you have to play it with an app. And the app is the world. And so there are actual ships out there, and as you go sailing, you like plug in your speed and your course. And as you approach ships, you will hear a sonar ping or whatever, or maybe you hear people on deck to see it. Then you can take out the periscope and take a look and find them. And then you have to plan your attack vectors. And like, how do I get in the right position to broadside them, and what type of torpedoes I use, and what's my evasive maneuvers to get out of it. And the cool thing about it is it's got extra stuff in it where you can turn on the microphone to the digital device. And so if you make too much sound, the enemy ships, if they're hunting you, will hear you. And it's such a cool experience that you're sitting at the table and they're above you. They're finding you, and we're also at the table, we're just whispering around there. And it's just such a tense moment. And if you even had it so that I've turned off that microphone feature, because you don't have to play with either, but just because people get into the theme so much, they still whisper and they still have fun with this. And it's, oh my gosh, I'm horrible at the game. Absolutely horrible. Like, I'm just the worst. I basically can't make it through a whole mission before dying, but I just love it. And Jerry, yeah, it would be a great game for a stream.
Jerry says he wants to play it.
I'm considering this for a stream, but it's a really difficult game to record.
It's huge, right?
It's huge. Yeah, the boat is significant. It's a big part of the game, and it's gonna be hard to capture it and communicate it. But I am thinking about ways of doing this, and if I can make it work, I will stream this one for you guys. It is amazing.
Awesome. That's what I call a party game. Because I don't like party games.
Big boat, everyone whispering. Yes.
Space Alert. They play Space Alert as a party game. That's a Snow Dracona, by the way, with all those comments. Yeah. Big boat, everyone whispering. Yes. Yeah. No, probably not great for streaming, but I'll tell you what, when this pandemic thing is over, Jerry, I know said he wants to play it. We'll have to come down to visit you and get that one to the table for
Yeah,
sure.
Elijah and I, we tend to not buy. He's my local gaming buddy. We play games frequently together, and we tend to not buy the same game because you know what? If one of us has a copy, you can play the other person's copy. But this is one of the exceptions where we both bought a copy, and I hope they come out with more content in the future because they talk about even having like wolf packs where like I play my ship and he plays his ship, and we're both playing together remotely in the same game, which would be really fun to like coordinate our attacks together.
Oh wow. So, wow, that would be interesting for sure. And you guys should know Elijah. He was on the podcast. Come on now. He even had his own intro.
Oh, yeah. But this one, it's also the bad thing about it is each role has different tasks to do. Like the navigator role, you have this big navigational disc, and it's kind of complex to describe it. Once you get it, it's easy to use, but like explaining each role can be a bit cumbersome in this one. So. Yeah, that's my real time,
and that's hard too with real time, right? Because if it's hard enough to have disparate roles. Something like not Space Alert, but what's the other one by Jeff Engelstein? Space Cadets, right? Yeah. Where everybody's doing their own different things. That's hard enough, but trying to do it real time even ramps up that like 20 times. So because if somebody's doing something wrong, it's impossible to catch. So that's one of the tough parts with challenging games that are also real time. But Bairnt, I'm curious, what's yours?
Well, actually, this year, when I started playing games with, I'm going to try to see how many times I say actually in the first sentence. We played a lot of real-time games with Colin and Monica for a lot of time right after we were able to start seeing each other once the pandemic kind of calmed down a little bit. And we kind of opened up our little bubbles like some people have. And we started recording a few of these real-time games that I didn't really play much of. I have 5 Minute Marvel, and that's really about the only real-time game I have. So it's really cool to see all these games come out and what they offer. And the one that stood out for me was Project Elite. I enjoyed Project Elite. I thought it was fantastic. We actually did a little bit of a campaign from Cool Mini or Not, and because they redid it. There's an older version, there's a newer version. The Cool Mini or Not version came out this year, and we did a few plays of it. I had a blast doing it. You get weapons, you get a guy. Yeah, each guy kind of has their own little abilities. I mean, and it's very basic and rudimentary because it is a fast real-time game. Now, of course, the real-time game is your actions. Then you kind of stop for a second, spawn a whole bunch of stuff, and then fight again. So, and you have mission objectives and things like this, and you could be putting people. You have to move, but you do move aliens during the real-time game, which can kind of mess up people because some people might actually be trying to do something. And you're like, oh no, this guy, no, don't move. Oh, okay, we already moved him. You touched him. That's the end. That's where it's got to go, kind of thing. And so it's kind of cool to see how that works. But the one I like, I kind of wish you could combine both of these games together. The old Project Elite had some really cool ideas in having not every miniature be kind of the same. They also had these kind of elite miniatures on top of the regular miniatures, so it kind of gave a little bit extra power. Of course, during the real time, sometimes you might miss things. It's real time. You're going to miss stuff all the time. But it can cause a little bit more missing of things, where the Cool Mini or Not version just really had 4 like types of monsters, and they all kind of did the same thing, minus a few of these extra boss monsters that would come out. So I wish I could combine both these together and make a great game, but I really like the older one. I think that one was a better game. And the campaign that Cool Mini or Not played, we tried the campaign.
No bueno.
It was not that great. So again, now you're just looking at single plays, and I really think that old one was really cool. And thanks to Colin, I actually have it since he's got the Cool Mini or Not game. He passed that one down to me. So thank you very much, Colin. We've brought it to the table a few times. I've had a blast playing it. And I had a blast playing with him. So that's my real-time game. Boom.
All right. So Jerry says the original minis were terrible. Which blob is that? Probably the most fun I had in a real-time game. Not saying a lot, though. Well, guess what? So, Steve, go ahead and switch the screen to mine. Oh, wait. We're already there. Project Elite. Also mine.
I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, this is the only overlap we've had so far. That is my real-time game. Now, if you ask my kids, they would definitely say 5 Minute Dungeon. My daughter requests that game all the time. I definitely have a blast with it. But the one I have the most fun with is this. The only thing that trips me up with this game sometimes is you don't always want to kill enemies, because when you roll that enemy dice, you have to move an enemy every time. Well, if there's only one on the board, If there's only one on the board, you keep having to move that same enemy over and over every time you roll an alien symbol. And I've definitely lost the game because of that. It's like the one alien like got supercharged and ran past all my stuff. But I mean, that's a fun lesson to learn as well. It's, just figuring out when you can do what and how you can do it. And I have a blast with it. I agree with you. I haven't played the new CMON one, but the old one was great. That's the one I have. Yeah, they're kind of blobby, but at least they're blobby in different ways. Like, I actually can tell the difference pretty easily between them. I think they're pretty distinctive shapes, even though they are. And again, I don't care, because this is the kind of game where literally you're fast-paced, rolling, you're taking a mini, you're literally throwing it off the table into the corner somewhere. So I don't care if I lose those miniatures. It doesn't matter to me, because they're, and then I'll find them at the end of the night. Let's go gather them all up. So just because of the frantic nature of it, I don't mind the blobbiness as long as they're distinctive. And I do feel that they were distinctive enough in the old one. And this is just one of the most fun I've had in a game. I mean, it's literally just dice rolling super fast, pulling off enemies, killing them, using your special powers, like collecting new stuff, trying to complete missions, like all in this frantic real-time, 2 minutes, something like that. And then you get to sit back. And I think that's one of the things I really liked about it too. You have that sit back moment. It's like, okay, now let's regroup, put new enemies on the board, kind of do some slow stuff. Now go again. And like just that frantic, that adrenaline highs and lows really do it for me. So super fun real-time game, Project Elite. Okay, so I know this is going to be everybody's favorite category, Euro. I feel like we're going to have some overlap in this category too.
I wouldn't doubt if we all pick the same one.
All right, so 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to all say it, right?
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, Spirit Island.
Pandemic Legacy.
Robinson. Yeah, no, it's all different stuff.
No, so we all have different ones. Okay.
Oh, that was pretty awesome.
Peter? I'm like, this is not going to work.
XCOM is his favorite. Well, the funny part is Steve knew we all had different ones. So, all right.
That is pretty funny.
At the same time, our Pandemic Legacy. This was really close for me, Bairnt. So what is it about Pandemic Legacy that you like?
I think the thing I like about Pandemic Legacy is it's the only Euro I've played.
Okay.
Spirit Island, have you not?
I've played Spirit Island one time, so I have played Spirit Island, but I haven't given enough of a shake to say like, oh yeah, that's an awesome one. I played it with Steve once, and I won, so I'm at 100%. So I think it's a great time to retire from Spirit Island. Also, so.
Nice.
But no, Euros are not my thing really at all. I'm sure, shocking the nation on this one. So there aren't many I played. Of course, I played a lot of Pandemic, like, of course, being an intro game to people and stuff like that. But Pandemic Legacy, of course, to me we had a blast with it. I haven't even finished the first season. I've only played the first 3 or 4 missions, and it's still my favorite Euro. The people are playing with, obviously, when Pandemic hit, they've quarantined themselves into oblivion, and they don't like to see anybody. So we're just waiting for this whole thing to work, and then we're going to be able to start up again. But so I guess it kind of did what it's supposed to. But that's really the only Euro I've played. I haven't really played too many more. So,
like, did you play all the way through season 1?
No, I've only played 3 or 4 missions in it so far, and that's it.
Oh, I like
I know. Like I said, I haven't played many Euros.
Stuff.
I know, I haven't got it. It's funny. It's funny you should mention that. I was telling Colin, he's like, "Oh, remember when this happened?" I'm like, "Well, only on mission 4." Don't worry about that.
Right. Oh, that game is so good. All right, so I think we lost the follower. Snow Dracona says, Spirit Island beaten? No, not happening. Won't listen. All right, so there's one gone, although comments later from Snow Dracona, so I don't think they were really serious about that. Man, I hate the fact that I can't get Spirit Island to the table. We'll get to that when I get to my Spirit Island in a second. Well, do you want to just do Spirit Island now, or any other comments on Pandemic Legacy?
No, I'm good. I played only 1 Euro in Spirit, and it's not Spirit Island. So yeah, go Bairnt.
It's it was interesting that she's saying that Snow Dracona Dragonka says never thought Pandemic Legacy being a Euro, to be honest, which is interesting because like we had this discussion on Discord recently that Euro and Ameritrash, they're so hard to categorize, and I don't even know what the Euros anymore. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's still Pandemic at its core, right? Like, I mean, no matter how much they dressed it up, the game is still Pandemic, and I don't think anybody would argue that Pandemic is very Euro in its mechanics. So for me, it's definitely, and it was in consideration for my top spot, to be honest. If Spirit Island had made my top game, then Pandemic Legacy Season 1 would have been my certainly not Season 2. And I haven't played Season 0 yet. Yeah, no, I think that's a great choice.
I'm playing Season 2 on that stream on Mondays, so if you guys want to see what this is about, join us. So
yeah, I mean, it's got to be more fun to watch than it was to play for me. So,
you're definitely selling that one for me, Peter.
We're having a lot of fun with it though. But honestly, it's having the community involved with it and having us help them make decisions for our game is really fun. So.
And you guys are doing pretty well, I think, too, right? You haven't lost one.
Correct, but honestly, Nick has been huge. So Nick is very active in our Discord and on Twitch, and he is there every night and helping us out. Like, oh wait, you've got this rule. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. No, you should do this strategy. Like, oh, that makes way more sense. So yeah, it's been a lot of group things. It's been great. So.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of that. You said you wanted this to be a group experience, a group play. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get in on that, so it's not just Nick telling them what to do every time, so you can get in on the action too, join that Monday nights. It's really fun. I've been part of it as well. Really enjoyed it.
Full spoilers, though. We're opening boxes and showing everything, so just be warned of that. So.
Well, I mean, the best part about the stream is you don't have to buy the game and play it yourself. Like, so enjoyed it for the game. I mean, the games weren't bad. It's just... yeah, there was some things that I didn't love about that one, but that's all right. That's nobody's top game. So let's get on to mine, which is Spirit Island. And so people were saying they wish that they could get it played more. Well, they just released an app. I just got an email from Handel Habra the other day. It was an email to all their subscriber list, I guess, that there is a new app available for iPad and Android. I downloaded it last night. I played through the tutorial. It's great. I mean, it's fantastic. Now, I haven't played any of the actual games yet, but the UI is amazing on it. And I called Steve this morning. I'm like, Steve, can I play an iPad game on our Twitch stream? Like, is there a way to do that? So we're trying to figure it out. But I think the implementation's amazing. I don't know if they have multiplayer on it, but if they do, certainly we can get, group games going of that. Certainly on Tabletop Simulator as well, so we could play it there. I'd love to play. Obviously, more official implementations are better, even if I got to pay some money to play it. I wouldn't mind doing that because it's really slick and it really works well. So if you just need your fix filled for that, I would say download the app. It's awesome. I don't think I'd play it on a phone, right? Because that would be ridiculous. But if you got an iPad, definitely do that.
Yeah, very good. That's what we just discussed, screen mirroring. So yeah, we talked about it this morning. We can probably figure a way of doing it. But I also mentioned the Tabletop Simulator mod is the one they playtest with. It is fantastic. It is really, really well done.
Is that an official one too, then?
Well, they use it for playtesting. At least a version of it they do. So I assume it's somewhat official, without being official. But I got to call this comment from Snow Jerking to go. It says, my boyfriend's nagging me. Tell them you played this game with our cat. So apparently you played Spirit Island with your cat?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to know how that works. Is that mean that you are playing defense of the island? Are you defending the colonists from the cat? Is that what's going on here? Like, as you're trying to move pieces around, it's like, no, get back, Bo, back.
I don't know where the city right here, and the cat comes by and whoosh, right off the board.
Smash, yes. So he likes to move the colonists around. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And that creates new challenges. Sometimes it'll move it out of someplace, and sometimes it'll move it into someplace you weren't expecting. Yeah. So that could work both ways. That's pretty hilarious. Terrence doesn't seem to be a big fan of anything that they're doing except for Sentinels over there at Greater Than Games. I'd like to point out that they published a game called Dark Dealings. That was pretty good. They didn't really publish it, but they're distributing it.
They don't have multiplayer support for their version of their game. Is what he's saying.
Oh, is that what it is on the app? Yeah, so I mean that's the worst part about it, but I mean if you want to play it solo, it's a great place. And again, it's available on Tabletop Simulator. All you guys I know are part of the Discord, so just go over there, try to strike up a game in the looking for games section. And I know the other night we had 3 games going. What was that? Thursday night, Wednesday night.
All 3 lobbies are filled.
Yeah, and I mean we can make more. Easy. Right? We can make more lobbies, Easy. I assume. Yeah, please go in the looking for game section. We've had a lot of activity since the pandemic hit this year. Lots of online gaming. So, look for it in there. Tabletop Simulator is probably the place most people go because they have so many variety of games there. But yeah, I guess we've gotten away from the Spirit Island discussion. But yeah, there's lots of places to play it. I love the game. It's great. I think we've talked about it enough in many different places. So yeah. Go play that. Go try
yeah, very good.
And Jerry says, Vincent says hi. Hi, Vincent.
But yeah, if you guys want to play Spirit Island, you guys want help learning, come to our Discord. There's a ton of people playing. We have a whole channel dedicated to it. I will, if I have time and you guys want to play, ping me. I love this game. I will definitely play it with you.
I will warn you, if you go to the chat and meet me at the table, there might not be a lot of discussion about it. Just because
I mean, you played it once, and we've shown your distaste for Euros. Your top Euro of all time, you've played 4 times, maybe.
Yep, that's it. Now let's hear. What is this? Steve done these Euro yet?
I haven't done my Euro. My Euro is, man, I just love this theme so much, and I like making it even harder. I've got some custom stuff. Mine is definitely Robinson Crusoe. I love this game.
Okay.
I love how
you're the only person in the world that's just said the words "I love to make this game harder" when it comes to Robinson Crusoe.
That's funny you should say that.
It is a really hard game, but the way I make it harder is because you're supposed to, or a big part of the game is as you interact with things, you add cards into the deck so they come up later. And so oh yeah, you come across you hear sounds of a snake or something. Or a snake bites you. I'm like, okay, then the bottom half tells you what you have to do when it comes out again later, but you shuffle this into the event deck. What I do is, I don't read the bottom half. And I have black sleeves, just completely black. So I don't even know when this particular card's coming up because they do have different backs. So it's a surprise to me, oh, a snake bit me? Then thematically I think, you know what, maybe I need to get some medicine just in case it comes up in that way. And that makes it really fun for me. That's how I make it harder. But it's more thematic that way. And
I wish they had done that too. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't do that, but I wish the backs had all been.
Yeah, I sleeved it with black back Euro sleeves, so and it's awesome. I love it. And the building out your what's in a settlement? Your shelter, trying to get up running. You try to get these combinations of different ideas and trying to do the scenarios. The scenarios are very different. Big fan of this one.
So apparently we've triggered someone else in the chat. Kim says, so that's why we always lose, Steve. Good job.
That's pretty awesome. I'm a huge fan of this one. This one is really good. I actually, now that I think about it, I totally forgot about this as in the Euro categories. Peter, I have played another Euro. I've played this game. I have played this game multiple times. This is one of my wife really actually requests quite a bit too. Like, hey, you doing anything there? I'm like, all right. Let's play Robinson Crusoe. Yes, let's do that. We've won once, so I don't know why you need to make this harder. We have. And the interesting thing about this game is, sadly, there is a point where you can realize I'm snowballing into oblivion, and there's not much that's going to save me. So at this point, at that point, I'm just like, okay. Just explore the island. Maybe some of these magic tokens we pull will save us, but then there's no saving you. But we really enjoy the theme's great. I love all the different scenarios like Steve has mentioned. I actually just did this recently on my channel, and it was a crash and burn scenario, like crash and burn. It was almost like Arkham Horror Dead in 2 turns. I mean, it was amazing. So,
right. Well, the interesting thing is, I
played this one. I love it.
I don't know why the intro scenario is the one that it is. I understand it's probably the easiest to understand and comprehend, but it's also the hardest scenario. It's harder than most of the other ones. So I don't know why they made that the intro, or why they made the intro so hard. I think a lot of people haven't made it past that one, and so they haven't seen that it does open up a little bit, and you get more options as you go in. It's certainly more complicated, but yeah, I mean, if they had just lowered the difficulty on that intro scenario, I don't think it would have the reputation that it does.
Well, the interesting thing is half the icons in that intro scenario don't do anything, because you have half the events in the event deck trigger something that half don't in the intro one. And there are some they do. But the volcano one I found particularly difficult because there's a volcano on the board and you have to keep moving before the whole island gets covered in lava. So but yeah, it's a really good one. I love this game.
Yeah. All right, so we got a lot of good Euros for you. 3 different ones there, even though Bairnt would have changed his. Kind of like he would have changed his obscure game if he had a chance to go back. But that's okay. We're going ahead. We're to the Bairnt category now, which is Top Dungeon Crawl. And so we're to the last 2. So I want everybody to guess now, if you can, in the chat. Tell us what you think our top game is going to be. Mine's going to be super hard to guess. But we still have Bairnt and Steve to go. What do you think everybody's top game is going to be? Go ahead and put it in the chat just for fun points. We'll see who gets the most fun points at the end of this. But Top Dungeon Crawl, why don't we go ahead and start with you, Bairnt?
Well, okay. For those of you that don't know, and if you can see my background here, this is my whole game collection. Pretty much all of it is almost all dungeon crawlers of some kind. It's even kind of made its way down here on the floor and things like that. We got them all over the place. They're everywhere. But the one that I put on this list is right. See if I can get the shot right here. Can you see that one? Maybe not. Maybe you can. It's Shadows of Brimstone, Forbidden Fortress. I just started doing this on my channel a couple months ago. I did the first scenario. And this truly is the dungeon crawler. When you think dungeon crawler, I really think this embodies kind of what people would think of a dungeon crawler. You get a character and you're just, it's the Ameritrash rolling dice, killing monsters. They're popping up. You don't even know where you're going in the thing. You got to draw cards to see what dungeon tile comes out next and things like this. There's a loosely built scenario, but if you're doing a dungeon crawler, that I think is the one. I really enjoy Forbidden Fortress. Now, I don't have the original Shadows of Brimstone, the one set in the Wild West, because the theme wasn't really my deal. I wasn't a big Wild West theme guy. But the one that actually is in feudal Japan really hit the mark. I was like, that's cool. I don't have any games in that even are in that realm. So again, when it comes to dungeon crawlers, I'm looking for something a little bit new. And they did a really good job on it. When I started playing it, I thought, I don't know if I'm going to like this. It's just kind of all this random stuff going on. But when it actually played, it flowed really nicely, and the randomness actually worked. I was really impressed with how it did. And they have another one coming that's set in the Viking world that some point in time will come out that I'm all in on. So we'll see what that's all about. But yeah, Shadows of Brimstone, Forbidden Fortress, really, really fun game. I was really impressed. And spoiler alert, Colin and I are actually going to be doing the second mission because I did the first one on my channel. The second mission that's going to hit One Stop, because he wants to play it and put it out, because I don't think you guys have any Shadows of Brimstone yet on One Stop Co-op Shop.
I think we do. Not playthroughs.
I mean, I know we didn't love it. So that's probably why Mike doesn't have it.
Yeah. That could be why.
But I mean, it could be my biases too. Like I feel like that's a game where if you really like the town phase, you're going to love it. And that's what I've seen, is that town phase is such a hit or miss thing for people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really love it. For me, it's a step too far. I just don't want to spend, that much time doing it. But but the dungeon crawl part's super fun. You're just going around shooting stuff up. I mean, you want to talk about body counts. Beside Project Elite, that probably has the highest body count of any game we've talked about here today. That's for sure.
I love it.
All right. Well, for me, it's going to be Cthulhu Death May Die as my dungeon crawl. I love that game. I just love it so much. I love the area movement. And it's funny because I don't always love area movement in dungeon crawl games. Like, for example, I didn't like Sword and Sorcery, which I know you guys both love, so I'm not going to bash on it, but it just didn't work for me in that game. But the tactical nature, the puzzling nature of Cthulhu Death May Die, while yes, there's a lot of dice rolling and there's a lot of craziness that happens, and that insanity track is just amazing to me. The more insane you go, like the cooler and cooler stuff you can do. It's almost like leveling up your character. It's also moving you toward losing the game. So I don't know. There's just so much about that game I love. But the thing I love best about it is how straightforward it is and simple it is to play with a ton of tactical decisions. This is, triggers my, tactical board game thing. I love tactical board game nature of gaming itself, and this one does it really well for me. So that's my top one. So Steve, how about you? Did I already make fun of your top one?
Well, I got to make a comment on Death May Die.
I bet you did.
This is one I haven't played yet, and I'm not a big fan of, to be honest, like Arkham, Lovecraft stuff. Like, I'm not a big fan of horror. But this is, and I know Colin isn't either, but he loves this game, so I really want to try this game because I'm curious. I'm curious what it's about.
Well, he got it after listening to the to our podcast on it. I think he picked it up, and he really liked it because of the podcast we did on it. And
he got like the whole darn thing. I mean, if you watch that playthrough, I got a chance to paint that huge giant Cthulhu miniature, and it was a blast to paint. I've never painted anything that big before. I mean, it stands up to my knee. So, I mean, it's a pretty big and impressive miniature. So he's got it at his house still. And I keep telling him, you should put this on your coffee table. And then Monica says, absolutely not.
I mean, let's be real here. If Colin buys a game, does he ever not buy everything for it? I mean,
Well, Terrence said the same thing. Bairnt, if Colin buys a game, he goes all in.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
That can't be called a miniature, says Snow Dracona.
It's a maxiature.
So that's a maxiature? Yes. Is that what we're going with?
All right.
But yeah, I don't have the big Cthulhu because I saw it for sale, but it was like $200 just for that. I was like, Bigature. No, I'm good. Nice. Oh, Bigature. That's another good one. Yep.
Bigature.
I don't know if I want to be called a bigot, though, so no, probably not. We'll go with maxiature.
Oh, nice, Terrence. He says he should put the giant miniature or whatever in his yard like a garden gnome.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
If it wasn't painted, you don't want to put a painted miniature outside. That's not gonna last very long.
Just dunk in resin. It's fine.
that would just lacquer the thing.
Right. Nice.
Oh yeah. Dungeon crawls.
All right, Steve. What's yours?
I'll move on to mine. Mine is one that I'm waiting for more content to come out because I'm super excited because this one is checking all the boxes for me. There's a number of dungeon crawls I like, but I don't. My problem with dungeon crawls is they take so much space and so long to play. And so when I pick one, I want to make sure it checks all the boxes I want. And the one that does the best job for that, for me, it is Sword and Sorcery. Yeah. I love this game. It's
Terrence
so much fun.
called it.
And a big reason why I love it is the fact that there's no player elimination, which I enjoy quite a bit. If you die in the game, as long as not everyone's dead, you are a ghost and you can still be effective in the game. And honestly, some ghosts are actually pretty strong in the game. And you can actually come back to life. You can resurrect people in game, which is nice. The other thing I like about it is the big one is the enemies. Each enemy is unique. Like each enemy pops out, the different groups of enemies, they all have different ranks, so they function a little bit differently. And they all have their own AI card, which is very engaging and very intelligent is how they approach things. And then on top of that, they also have additional enemy powers. So I might have fought the same green range orc or skeleton, but now this green skeleton has flame arrows, and this other one has a guard with them or something. And so it's different every time. So like this is on the opposite side of like high body counts. You're still killing all the bad guys, right, in the rooms, but you have less guys, but they're stronger and more involved generally, and I really enjoy that part of it.
And it's so funny how different people can be, because that's the thing I hated most about it, was that every enemy was different, and I couldn't look at the miniature on the board and figure out what was going on. I had to look and figure out what special power they had and stuff like that. And so, I mean, this is a matter of preference thing, similar to what I said with Bairnt for Shadows of Brimstone, right? It didn't hit my table, but that's why we're doing 3 different lists here. I think it's great that we're coming from 3 different perspectives. And so you see, we haven't had a lot of overlap. Even the category I thought we were, Euro games, we literally had 3 different games, although Barrett would have switched his. But I don't know. I think it's great. I think it's great that we have so many different varied tastes here. You got to figure out who you mesh with the best, and listen to their list and maybe find out about some games that you wouldn't have tried otherwise. I will say, Steve, I think you would like Cthulhu Death May Die a lot.
I probably would.
A lot, I think.
I enjoyed it when I played it.
Yeah, we'll have to do that on the stream sometime.
Now, I'm curious how many people we lost that shut off the streams or stopped watching YouTube's channel because none of us picked Gloomhaven for top dungeon crawl, so which is interesting.
True.
That is interesting. I would say I like a Gloomhaven product better than I like Gloomhaven, and that is the new Gloomhaven, the small box, Jaws of the Lion. I think is way better. I think it's a huge improvement. You're right. That is like #1 game on Board Game Geek, and none of us chose it. That's interesting. I think Jaws of the Lion does such a better job. The biggest problem for me with Gloomhaven is that setup issue. It's like setup just takes, I would take a half an hour to an hour to set up every mission. I don't know what just happened. I heard myself an echo there. Echo. Okay. So I don't know what it is about Gloomhaven, but the setup really killed it for me. And so I love now that, you just open that book. I want every dungeon crawl to have a book. I don't know if any of you guys have either of you played Jaws of the Lion?
I've played it all the way through.
What are your thoughts on that book compared to like a normal dungeon crawl map setup?
That's a tough one. I like it. I can see how it can be restricting, but for playability and ease of approach, I think that was a big improvement. When we played Gloomhaven, Okay, come and get me. When we play Gloomhaven. All right, no, that's not happening. All right, at the Gloomhaven, I would say we usually set it up and play it, and then my friends that are playing it with me, we go and do something else for a little while I set up the next board. And they didn't have any problem with that. They'll maybe play like a game of Magic or something. But for reason for reason of just getting it to the table, yeah, that book's amazing. I'll be right back.
All right, Bairnt, go for it.
Yeah.
If you hear screaming in the background and children running, you'll know why.
But yeah, we got a lot of comments in the Twitch here that's saying that like there's workarounds for setting up Gloomhaven. Like an organizer really helps. It seems like that's the one to really get to help with that. And it's true, it would help a lot. And I don't know. The other things like the numbering system they did in the Gloomhaven tiles was talk about bad UX. That was like they're just random numbers. It doesn't really help really. Like if you make one side A, make the other side B, right? So just.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, their setups, their tile numbering system was the worst thing I've ever seen in the world. I don't know how they could mess that up. I know Isaac very well. I talk to him, not regularly, but pretty regularly. So yeah, I don't know why he did the numbering the way he did. I think he was trying to do something different, but
you can't just be running around. All right.
That's for sure. All right. Now let me ask, No Dracona, have you played with the map book, or are you just saying you like the tiles better because just aesthetically you like it better? Because for me, the benefits of the map book are, number one, ease of setup. Oh my gosh, I can set up one of those missions in less than 5 minutes compared to the half an hour to an hour it took to set up the regular ones. And then the other thing I like is the graphics are in the main Gloomhaven game, it's very generic. The blocking terrain and all that stuff is very generic.
You have to be quiet if you're
and it is very specific to what mission
I have to have you leave if you're going to be talking like stuff. I have 5 minutes. Yeah. Do you want to sit with me and say hi?
Hi, Bairnt.
No, I can't have you working.
You're not muted. You think you were, but you weren't.
Yeah, you're not muted at
all. We all heard you.
I've got an 8-year-old down here, and he's playing with this computer thing here. You want to say hi?
Hi.
All right, he's going to sit with me for our final little part here we're going to do, which is going to be...
Well, and it's going to be our top game. So let's see. All right, I'm going to place my guesses because not many people guessed. I think Terrence was the only one. I think he's close, but he doesn't have it. I'm going to guess Kingdom Death Monster for Bairnt. I'm going to guess Spirit Island for Steve. And I'm going to guess Marvel United for Peter. I know it's Marvel. I know it's not Marvel United.
Guessing for yourself?
That was a joke.
You're actually wrong.
Oh, was Terrence right?
Oh, Kingdom Death Monster didn't make #1 game, which is surprising considering I've done over 50 videos on it. Actually, Terrence got it. It's Madara. I still can't get enough of how awesome that game is. I love the theme of it. I love the ease of setup. I love maybe it's not ease of setup for a dungeon crawler. I also love the characters in the game. I love that story. That story is out of control good. And how you can fail forward and keep moving. I think I've probably talked about this game more than any other game on any channel I can ever get on.
All right.
So that tells you
about got it. I think Terrence was 3 for 3.
That's it.
So how about you, Steve? Did he get you right too? Was it Spirit Island?
Yeah, you guys were like, well, why is Spirit Island not Euro? Because it is my #1, hands down. This was the one that took Lord of the Rings LCG off the top spot for me for #1 game of all time. And just because, like, a big part of it is this is easier to get to the table, easier to get people introduced, and I still have a ton to explore, even in just the base game. There is so much game in here. I love the fact that I can take the spirit and, like, customize its powers and how it plays differently based on how I draft it differently. And there's so many knobs to turn to get the right difficulty you want, to the right experience you want. I can't get enough of this game. I will always play this game. It's fantastic.
Yep. Very cool. All right, so my top game, you guys have probably guessed it. It's not Marvel United. It's Marvel Champions. That's the one. A game I want to play all the time. And a game that, obviously you can see I'm streaming it every Friday. Terrence and I are. And then I've been off of work a lot because end of the year I just had a lot of vacation because of this weird year. Yeah, no, I mean, it's brought me back to the table over and over again. And it's a game I always want to play. I love playing it solo. I love playing it with 2 players. I don't think I want to play it with 3 or more players anymore. Certainly, if we had a group of people that really knew the game, I wouldn't mind getting together and play it with 3 or more. But I think it's a perfect solo or 2-player game, and I just enjoy playing it every time. It probably could have won many categories. Like if it was the BGG awards, I think Marvel Champions would have won like top solo, most obscure game, small game, late game, card game. Well, I mean, come on, If Wingspan can win top innovative game, certainly Marvel Champions can win.
That's fair. That's fair,
right?
That's pretty good. I'm going to go. I know we're still working a little bit here, but I've got a distraction that might be distracting.
No worries. So
I'm going to go. It's been great talking to you guys. It's awesome to do these lists. Don't forget One Stop Co-op Shop, or not one, podcast with Steve and myself and Colin. We're going to be doing those. So catch us there. Go check out Maybe at the Table. I'm doing some alien stuff. It's going to be great. Like I said, Shadow Brimstone's coming pretty soon. And don't forget, Kingdom Death is coming back on Friday. So get ready. You want to say anything? You want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
There we go. Bye. You guys take care.
Hey, Bairnt.
You're working on that?
Let me check this out.
He's got his own keyboard.
I'll show you.
Okay, you show me. Okay.
Bye. All right. So just make sure that Bairnt wasn't the one that was doing all of our volume here. So make sure I am not muted.
I see you talking.
All right, cool. So if everybody can still hear me, let's go on. So there goes our top games list. Let's do some predictions real quick. What do you think?
Yeah, so we were going to talk about some different... Oh, yes, I hear you. Okay, cool. We got confirmation. Good. Yeah, prediction time. So we're talking about, with COVID obviously being a thing right now, and we don't know how long it's going to last, but we're talking about, one prediction is what's the first convention that we're going to be able to go to face-to-face again, right? And is it going to be next year? Is it going to be a year after that? And which one next year is going to be that convention? So do you want me to go first, Peter, or do you want to go first?
Sure, go for it. What's your prediction for first con of the year?
I think the first con, face-to-face, I hope it is Spiel, so in Essen. I think that one is more likely. One, due to location. I'm hoping that I feel like Europe is doing an okay job with managing it, and I'm hoping by that time, because Spiel it's like the end of August, October timeframe, right? If I remember correctly.
Spiel, yes,
it's October, right? Yeah.
Not
and so I'm thinking by that time everyone will have another round of vaccines by that point, and we may be able to start opening up. But before then, I'm not holding my breath on anything else face to face. What about you, Peter?
So mine is, I'm going to do my cheaty one first, and then I'm going to do my real one. So there's WinterCon in Australia. I think that's what it was called. I think there's 0 cases of COVID in Australia right now. So I'm going to guess WinterCon, which is in June or July. So believe it or not, I looked at that. I was laughing. I was like, okay, WinterCon in July. But no, for big ones, I'm going to be optimistic here. I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say Origins.
Ooh.
First of all, because I think Origins, now, it might not be at its normal time. They may push it. But I think they were the ones most willing to push it this year. They pushed it all the way back to September, October. I think they'll do it again. I think Gamma is known for not necessarily making the most well thought out decisions. So I'm not saying they're going to be the right call or this successful call, but I think it will be them. I don't know that it'll be in June, but I do think we are going to have Origins at some point, and I think it'll be the first major con of the year, whether it's in June or whether it's pushed back to September, October, or whatever.
Yep, that's a good one.
All right, so let's game of the year for 2021. Do you have a prediction for that? What you're looking forward to the most?
It's so hard to say because games have been delayed, right? And I just don't know what's coming out next and when that's happening. I'm optimistic that this will come out this year, and if it does, I mean, it's my most anticipated game for a long time, and still is. And that's Isofaren Guard. If that comes out this year, I am guarantee you're gonna be playing that the second day I got it on the stream because I'm so stoked for it. A big open world adventure exploration type game. Oh, awesome soundtrack. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait for that game.
All right, Snow Dracona says Unsettled will come February 2021.
Oh, okay.
That's what I anticipate probably the most. All right, so mine is Oathsworn. It's a game I got to demo. I think we played that demo together at Gen Con a couple of years ago. I've been waiting for this game for a while. Mike said he's played further into the campaign, did a lot on Tabletop Simulator. He says the campaign part's great. I love the tactical combat part on the board. One of the most cinematic combats I've seen since, Spare Parts, but that one's not out yet. That's going to be a little while still. So I'm really excited about that one. I love cinematic combat. I love.
This one was a tough one, because I struggle trying to see where the trends are going with Kickstarter. I mean, I felt like a lot of the Kickstarters this year were definitely focusing on solo, and a lot of things were pushed out because of COVID, right? And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think we start seeing a little more games coming off of Kickstarter and going on other sources, because we saw it already with GameFound with You're gone. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. There. Wrong one thing. I was trying to do things on the side. My bad. There you go.
Look at Steve trying to get fancy with the stream and messing it all up.
Well, Bairnt dropped midstream, so I was trying to fix it midstream, and I screwed up. My bad. My bad, guys. So,
guess who's back?
Back again.
Back again. We are back. So. Tell your friends.
Yeah, so predictions for Kickstarter. And I think we're going to see a lot more stuff coming from other sources. I think we already saw, Vanguard? Vanguard went to GameFound, and we saw a few other games on Indiegogo. And so I just think they're going to be branching out, trying to see what else you can do from Kickstarter.
Yeah. For me, it's funny. I think this was the year of Kickstarter. Even though, Kickstarter definitely laid off some people, there definitely were some challenges there. But because you couldn't get stuff in game stores, it seemed like almost all the discussion, almost all the buzz that I heard this year was around Kickstarter. And I think that's going to continue into early 2021 until game stores open again. But then I think there might be a little bit of a pushback or a little bit of a blowback. Once people can buy games live, I think there's going to be this is kind of goes into my new trend as well. But I think that there's going to be a push to get into game stores again. I think there's going to be more organized play, more whatever, when we can actually go live again. Now, it might not be 2021. Based on my other predictions, I think it will be 2021. The vaccine's out now. We'll see what happens. I think we're still going to be wearing masks. But I do think that once people can get back in game starters, I think Kickstarter will take a little bit of a hit, because people are going to say, well, why am I going to wait a year and a half before I get my game when I can go play right now?
Definitely.
All right. So Jerry says, don't worry, it's a learning game when it comes to our video and streaming and going away. Snow Dracona says, well, so far GameFound will be AR only, probably until they get more to participate. I don't know what that means. Augmented reality is what I usually think AR.
It's Awakened Realms, because it's their service. So, which makes sense.
Or it will push Kickstarter to get better, which is good. We've thought this in the past about Kickstarter, that like these other like Indiegogos or whatever, people have tried to go to them, and they're just better platforms in a lot of ways. And it really hasn't happened though. Kickstarter still has the lion's share of the market. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's probably just audience, right? Like once you have a certain number of people, it's hard to beat that. And so, yeah. So yes, Indiegogo was never so big to influence Kickstarter, though. Right. GameFound has the potential to shake things up. I agree. We'll see. Because you saw big people. Didn't Geek and Sundry go to Indiegogo? I mean, if they can't get the poll to Indiegogo, I don't know who could. I don't know if I'm right on that, but I thought there was like somebody really big that went to Indiegogo, and it still didn't pull that crowd over. So,
well, I mean, we use all these services to fulfill your pledge, right? And so, like, why not leverage that more and not necessarily Kickstarter? But Kickstarter has, like you said, everyone has eyeballs on it. I mean, we have channels on our Discord focused directly to Kickstarter, right? So it's just such a big presence. It's gonna be hard to shake it up. But I think there's gonna be a little bit more of that coming in the future. So
Yeah, well, Terrence said Kickstarter is more than just board games, which is true. You can get lots of stuff. Jerry says Indiegogo is where the scammers go. So, all right, I don't know. Snow Dracona says, so people even from Kickstarter know about it. Indiegogo is very separate. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I hope, trust me, I hope there is another platform that works better and gives. I always think the market, I mean, everybody thinks this, the market does better with competition, right? The more you can push Kickstarter to make itself better, the more, even if we don't go to these other platforms, as long as there's something there to push the market and to push Kickstarter to make itself better, I think that's always good. Competition breeds or brings the best out of everybody.
Agreed.
Alrighty, so we got 2 more categories, new trends. So did you have a trend that you thought would come in the next year?
I think we're just going to see more of the same at this point until we get out of the COVID pandemic. Meaning that, like, seeing from a good example of this is Fantasy Flight with their game Civilization New Dawn, where they provided solo support because they wanted to play it more and try to figure out what to do with expansion. But the problem is, this is a game that was only multiplayer, so they made a solo version of the game so they could play test it and figure out how to make it work in order to make the expansion. And they're like, well, we have the solo mode, let's share it. And so just seeing so much more focus coming down the solo pipeline, I think that's just going to continue.
And that's my trend too. It's solo and co-op is going to be the wave of the next couple of years, I think. For several reasons. Number one, because that's what people want to play right now. So yes, solo co-op revolution. We've talked about it for the last 4 years now. It's a thing. Like it is. Right. I'm sorry. Like we have an entire series of channels based around solo and co-op. And I know we're a little bit biased, but I mean, it's what's going to come, not only because, that's what people know they can get to the table right now, but also that's what designers have been able to play test and design in their free time, right? If you're by yourself, if you're in isolation, you can't test a game with heavy interactions in it. You need people to be together at the table for that. And those kind of games I don't think are going to go very well. I think even in the Eurogame market or, the Ameritrash market, whatever you want to call it, I think that you're going to see a trend toward games that aren't as interactive, that don't need players to, your actions aren't dependent on other players. So not a lot of auctioning games, bidding games, things like that. Maybe not even worker placement where you're competing for spots on the board. I think stuff like that is a little bit down in the coming years, just because, again, if you want to playtest games right now, you're playtesting online or you're playtesting, solo by yourself. And so I think that you're going to see a lot of trends toward that in the coming years.
I guess, yes. Snow Dracona mentioned about the, speaking of Fantasy Flight, Star Wars LCG co-op. When? Yes, that is... I don't know what they're doing about that. Because...
It'll be interesting. I mean, they should have done that the first time.
Well, it kind of was done the first time, because Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, that concept, that design, originally was a Star Wars co-op game, right? And then they took that design and they changed it a bit, and it became Lord of the Rings Living Card Game. And ever since then, people are like, well, I want my Star Wars co-op. And I think they went away from that because, how do you do the sides, right? Well, some people want to play Empire, some people want to play Rebels, and how do you make that cooperative, right? And so, I don't know. I mean, giving people the option to play both is what's hard to make work for a co-op game. But I would love to see a Star Wars co-op.
Well, and they have a lot of Star Wars stuff out right now as it is. There's X-Wing, there's Armada, there's Legion, which is their miniatures game. So there's a lot of successful Star Wars properties they have right now. I don't know if they want to divide their card game audience and their Star Wars audience any more than it's already divided. So I don't know. My pushback would be, I don't know that is coming anytime in the next couple of years. Certainly, I think there are a lot of people that want to see it, but at some point, you're only taking money from your own pocket. Right? I think that's part of the reason when Marvel Champions hit so big, why Lord of the Rings had to go away.
Yep.
At some point, people aren't going to be able to living card games at a time or 4 living card games at a time. They're not going to be able to buy Star Wars miniatures. Maybe that and a card game, maybe, just because it's so different that maybe you just have a different mood for that night. You have a limited amount of time, so you don't want to set up a miniatures game. Maybe you have more than 2 people. But that's the other thing. I don't know that they've done a great job of making their LCGs playable I think Arkham's the best at more than 2 players. But I think, for Lord of the Rings and for Marvel Champions, they're best at 1 to 2 players. And so I don't know that would be breaking away from that miniatures audience too much, because, 3 or 4, if it doesn't play well, that's what you'd be looking for, potentially as a miniatures player, if I've got more people over for the night.
Yeah, I just want a good Star Wars cooperative game from the get-go. That's what I'm missing yet. We've had, like, Imperial Assault, like, morphed into a cooperative experience, and it works, but I just want it from the start, because that way you can make it the best possible instead of, like, duct taping something together. That is my opinion.
I think that is more likely.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just did it for Descent. They built it from the ground up to be cooperative. Right. I think in the next probably 2 years. I don't think this year, but I think next year you might see that. And I guess it depends how Descent does this year, but I certainly see that as something that could be coming in the future. Mm-hmm. So Terrence says he thinks Lord of the Rings is best at 4. I think Terrence is crazy.
I actually agree with him. I think it's excellent 4. And I think it's actually works well at Epic. But, I mean, it's a long game, though. Right? Yeah. That's the problem. Like, you're going to be sitting there for a while, but, like, I've had so many Epic experiences and hilarious experiences for 4 players. I mean, I think I met Terrence for the first time at a convention specifically for Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, which was a fantastic experience. Yeah.
All right. So Terrence said that there's going to be more Star Wars games coming in 2021, 22. Hopefully it won't be $175, says Jerry. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. You go back to see our news feed. That was all about that Descent. Yeah. I mean, the $175 price point is pretty big stick for sure. Snow Dracona agrees with me that 1 or 2 player account is the best. They also said Outer Rim has tons of stuff coming 2021 at the earliest. I mean, if they could figure out a good solo bot for that might be cool. So we'll see. I mean, I didn't know that Outer Rim did that well, but I'll tell you, bounty hunters are big with Mandalorian now, right? I mean, I think that is probably between that and the prequel Rogue One. I think those are the hottest Star Wars right now. Even more so than the base trilogies.
Yep, absolutely.
Alrighty. Oh, we just got real pixelated.
Yeah, it's coming back up.
Are you doing something
there?
Okay. All right. So wild card. So this is anything and everything. Any prediction you want to have? What's your wild card prediction?
My prediction, and this is biased with what I've been playing recently, is I predict, I have no knowledge of this at this point in time, absolutely none, is I'm going to predict that we're going to see an Altar Quest expansion next year. Knowing how Blacklist operates and knowing how much they like to make the modular deck system stuff, I think they're going to expand that game sometime next year or announce it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how it goes because I've heard mixed stuff on Altar Quest. There isn't been a lot of buzz on our Discord about it, but I think Secret Cabal reviewed it pretty positively just now. So it'll be interesting. Not getting a lot of love in our community, but certainly if it can reach a larger community, why not? And I think it got a lot originally too. So I'm curious. I'm curious whether they're going to take a step back the way they did with Street Masters and really try to refine what they had, make what they had better, fix some of those missions that were quote unquote broken. And then, move forward with that, or if they're just going to just throw out a bunch of content. Because that's the problem. Like, part of the reason you get broken scenarios and combos and things like that is it's super hard to design all that stuff at once. And there's no way you can play test. Right. It's like that game 504, right? Where there's 504 different combos. No way they could have play tested every villain with every scenario and everything else. And that's Terrence and I were actually talking about this last night. You get these broken scenarios and you get these things that are not as much fun. And that might be people's first experience when you add too much modularity in. There's got to be something pointing you to curated experiences. These are our best experiences. And I think if they do that, then it's going to work out way better than if they just throw stuff together. Yeah, we got a lot of max headroom. I don't know what's going on right now. The video quality is terrible. Terrible. But we're done with our predictions. So, one more thing. Gone. So let's talk about the year that was real quick, 2020. I got a couple of things. People love the stats in these year-end episodes. So we hit some milestones this year. You still with me,
I'm still
Steve?
here.
All right, so 20,000 subscribers on the main YouTube channel.
Thanks, guys.
Over 750,000 downloads for the podcast.
That's insane.
We added Jason this year. We started what you are watching right here, right now. We started our Twitch channel this year. We started our steamed YouTube channel. So that might be where some of you are watching right now as well. And really adding Kim and Terrence to, just over the last couple of weeks, with this streamed content, adding them in some new voices in our community as well. So I think it's great. Another thing, and I know Jerry just sent me pictures. He got these as well. I just got them. The merch store is live. I got my first things from the merch store. I was so excited. Like, they said they were sending me stuff, and this is what I got. I got my stickers, but it's at least a start. And I just got like 7 shipping notices the other day. So I think all the rest of my stuff's coming. Super excited about having our own stuff, getting t-shirts. I know my kids are excited. My son was wearing my jersey the other day when he went to school for like Jersey Day for the kids at school. So just a lot of cool stuff coming.
I got one more thing to mention. Oh,
all right, I got an announcement too, so let's go ahead and do yours.
Oh, sorry, guys. Apparently I've got...
Your picture just went...
Oh, gosh. Hold on 1 second, guys. I had to flex things on the fly, and then, yeah, that's what messed me up. 1 second, let me turn my picture again real quick.
Oh, Steve.
I know. Amateur hour, right? Amateur hour. So...
This is a learning game.
It is a learning game.
Pointed out.
Okay, so back there. So the other announcement I have to make, because you mentioned merch store, is I have an announcement. So one thing that I want to make sure is this is a community. We're an environment. We want to bounce ideas off you. We want to take ideas. We just want to have fun and build things together, right? And that's why we decided to go with Twitch for expanding, because this way we can interact with you. And so one thing about that is it was mentioned on one of our previous streams on how, like, oh yeah, how Peter and I, we both love dragons, right? We're a huge dragon fan, and how, it'd be really cool because our new icon, our logo has meeples who are high-fiving or like are holding up a stop sign. Well, I have some new merch to announce. We have a merch store.
Steve, you're not going to cost me money.
It is.
Oh, come on.
A dragon.
I haven't even heard about this.
Fist bumping. 2 dragons fist bumping. In our merch store. It is live right now. I just published it, so you guys can go there right now and get it.
Oh, come on. All right. Where's my credit card? Hold on. I'll do it live. All right. No, that is awesome. Holy cow. I'm super excited. So where can they find the link if they don't know?
Yeah, so if you go to
Twitch, get it quick
and
before Peter buys them all, says Jerry.
What's that?
Jerry says, buy them quick before Peter buys them all.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that is definitely on my buy list. I know my son's going to want one. I'm guessing my daughter's going to want one because they're blue and green, which are my wife and my favorite colors. Those are our wedding colors. She's going to get one, I'm sure. Yeah, no. So 4 dragon t-shirts coming right up.
Yeah, so yeah, this is something I was excited to do. If you go to the About page on Twitch, there's a link down there. And then eventually we need to put the links on our YouTube. But for now, you go to Twitch, and I'll make sure that on our Discord we have a link to the merch store there as well. But feel free to head there and buy it. It's live as of a few minutes ago. So
awesome. Well, like Steve said, buy them now before I buy all of them. Which, by the way, it doesn't work that way. They're print on demand,
right? So
I can't actually buy them out. The more we buy, the more they'll just print them up. So that's not going to be a problem. But one thing I'd also like to ask, a little favor from everybody who's an Amazon Prime subscriber. If you have not subscribed to the Twitch channel yet, it's super easy to do. You can do it right now. Right underward, it says add a subscription or something like that. And you just click on that and you can do it for free. It is literally free if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. Gives a little bit of money back to the channel. So if you haven't done that yet, please do that either now or as soon as the stream ends. Super easy to do. It just says, subscribe, and then it says Amazon Prime subscriber. Click that. It'll subscribe. It'll give us a little bit of money for help support the channel a little bit, and it's totally free for you. You get 1 free subscription a month. So if you haven't done that yet for another Twitch channel, go ahead and subscribe here. It'll really help us out. I appreciate that. So last announcement.
Real quick, real quick. You also get
go.
access on our Discord to a special Twitch sub chat only. And then, if you haven't noticed, over on the far, I'm pointing in the right direction, yes, far left corner of the screen, I have an event tracker. So your name will be on there so people can see that you help support us.
Right corner.
Yep. Or right corner, yes. I'm pointing in the right direction, but it's wrong. I said left. So, yes.
Nice. All right. So Jerry says, do it. Peter needs money for t-shirts.
Yes.
So it's super easy. I've subscribed. Steve subscribed. I know Jerry subscribed. So it's super easy to do, and it's totally free. Only if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. We don't expect you to subscribe otherwise. Certainly, if you want to, you can. But, if you've got the free one anyway, why not give it to us? All right. So last announcement. I'm going to start doing what I call 5 and 5 live. So it's going to be our 5 and 5 review format that Mike's made famous through the normal YouTube channel. We're going to do it here on we're going to do it here on Twitch also. Now, it would be very boring to do 5 minutes of content. Like, nobody would even get on by the time I was done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 and 5s live. Lots of 5s, lots of lives. But coming up starting next weekend. So next Saturday, 2 o'clock, same time as this stream, we're going to do 5 and 5 live, where we're going to do light games. So the games I'm thinking about are The Mind, Just Code Duet. Might not be all of those, but it'll be some of those. Yeah, 5 and 5 without Mike. Believe it or not, 5 and 5 started, well, it wasn't 5 and 5, but top 5 reviews started on the podcast. So that was something Mike took that format and added it here. Well, we're evolving it again. This is the next level of evolution where we're going to do 5 games at a time. So join me for that next week. It should be fun. I don't know if I'm going to do it alone or if I'm going to have somebody else with me. But I definitely want lots of interaction with the chat. Tell me what you think about those games. Tell me your top 5 things about them, or tell me, what you think about them overall. So the interesting thing is this is going to be kind of a combination of Mike's shelf life and 5 and 5, because I am not, unlike Mike, who just copies his list and puts them on both. Yeah, I'm doing it. I am not just copying my list that I had before. This is going to be a total new list. Now, it might end up being the exact same 5 points, might be in a different order, but it's going to be my updated impressions on all of these games. So again, first one's going to be light games. The next one I think I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to do them every Saturday, every other Saturday, maybe Sunday will be a better day. I'm going to figure that out, the schedule. But I'd also like to do escape room games, stuff like Unlock, Chronicles of Crime. So I want to do, I want to put these together. Obviously, I'll have dungeon crawls at some point. I'll have maybe card games, different categories. So it'll be fun for everybody. So you can join the ones you want, not join the ones you don't want. So I think that'll be fun content here for our Twitch stream as well. And the most important thing is that everybody shows up for those, though, because the interaction of Twitch is what makes it the best.
Definitely.
And speaking of which, so Mike stole the idea. I'm writing that down.
Thanks, Timber, for the cheer, by the way. That was awesome.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah. Woo! Did it smack you in the face?
It did smack me in the face. We did see the cheer. And just pointing out that his name's now on the event list, so thanks for that. And I like Jerry's comment. We should do a 5 and 4 to put pressure on Mike to make it faster. So
6-minute abs. I can do 4. Yes. I can do 4-minute abs.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think we're going to have to say bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll see you at the next stop.
Hey, Steve.
What?
I have a prediction for next year.
What's that?
I'm going to play more Marvel Champions.
That's a safe prediction, yes. Safe prediction.
Hey, Steve.
What?
I got another prediction.
Did you can buy one of these t-shirts?
I'm going to have that dragon t-shirt by the end of the day today. Yeah.
Yes.
No question in my mind. Another difficult prediction there.
Exactly. Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.